doing?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Today we're going to do something a bit different. We've got about an hour, and I want to look at two pieces of archaeology. One that they came up with. We're going to go through their paper.
I'd say it came out maybe 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks. Well, it was on the ABC, so it must be true. It was in the news. And then I want to look at the second piece of archaeology they haven't come up with. And I want to sort of compare something about the way they approach this. Now, the one we're going to do first is this one. Well, it doesn't look much like that, does it? There's two of them. This one comes from the ABC. That says DNA analysis suggests the first Australians arrived about 60,000 years ago. And this is the paper. It's a fairly big paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at their work, but we're going to do something they don't do. When we put out a paper about a new discovery, they don't look at it. They refuse to read it.
That's right.
And then they tell everyone that what we've written is rubbish. Well, I'm going to say what they've written is rubbish, but we're going to do it differently. We're going to read from their paper.
Okay.
So that I don't mind being attacked, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest is we do know for an absolute fact there is an actual edict that's been put out, hasn't it, Evan?
Yes.
That you are not allowed to look at our work or discuss it. And if you do, you can be blocked.
Yes.
Well, we don't do that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to read from... Well, both of us are going to read from this paper here. This is the actual paper that the DNA that the ABC used to do their presentation, and they cut it down and made it shorter, and probably too short. And do you know what else, Evan? When they cut it down, they didn't cut it down into science speak. They cut it back down into normal speak.
Oh,
right.
Normal speak.
Well, yeah, that's not really impressive enough, is it? Let's do science speak. Okay, let's start with this story. And what it says here in the introduction on page 1, sometimes Evan's going to read some of this, sometimes I am. The bigger quotes are the ones that are nearly impossible to read. Evan volunteered for them.
Well, yeah, and to give you context, like usual, I found these, printed them off. And what I usually do is I go through before he reads them and just underline a few things. This time I'm like, I'm not touching it.
They never mark anything.
No.
Left me, spent days marking out. He should normally do that. I'm supposed to come in at the finish when it's all done.
Because I must admit, this one was definitely a slog to get through. Very dense.
No, that dense is, I'm thinking more thick, but I'll tell you why in a sec. So let's start with this. The first thing they tell us about this new date. And let me start by explaining something to you. When I was a child at school, in primary school, which is not light years away, but close to it, I was told that the Aboriginal people, and they were called Aboriginal, not original, which we call them now, were here for 20,000 years. And I read textbooks that told me that, so it must be true.
Must be.
And then when I got to high school, there was rumours and kids were walking around with T-shirts saying we're here for 40,000 years. And then by the time I got through most of high school, it had become 40,000 years. Then when I went to further on to become a teacher, there was rumours of 50,000 years, Evan.
Yeah, that's right.
And then it went to 60,000 years. And of course, the argument's always been recently over whether it's 60 or 40, isn't it?
Yes.
But I want to make a point. During the time I've been alive, the so-called final date the scientists put up to say this is when they came has gone from 20 to 40 to 60,000 years, which means it's tripled during my lifetime. And they keep saying what we've got now is correct. But let's read this one. And it starts with this. In the introduction on page 1, it says this. Also, this is the first definite use of watercraft by Homo sapiens. Because what they're claiming is that they sailed at least 100 kilometres, came out of Africa around 75,000 years. We'll get to that in a reason, and we'll find out why that happened, or if it did happen. And then when they came out of Africa 75,000 years ago, they went through the whole of Africa, and I'll explain why they came from South Africa later. Then they made their way through the Middle East. Then they made their way through Asia. And then they got to 2 places because according to this, they came in 2 groups, separate. And of course, when you look at genes, you can tell straight away that they're different groups. And genes also tells you geography. Did you know that? Wow. I didn't. No. Apparently it does.
Right.
Right. So when they got there at these 2 places, they looked to the south. And for 100 kilometres at least, there is no Australia. So you know what they saw? What did they see?
They wouldn't have seen anything.
Nothing.
Because,
but the ocean.
Yeah, just that's the horizon. The ocean.
There's the horizon. And then here's the other point. Did 2 people get on the boat? No, because they're going supposedly to a continent where no one's there. And you have to have at least 20, probably 25 adults to make sure you do not get a population that becomes infertile through inbreeding. So if anyone, they used to say it was just a couple of original people, but that was just rubbish. Now we've got 20 people in a boat sailing over 100 kilometres to a destination they can't see. Would you get on the boat?
No.
Well, how did they talk 20 people into getting on the boat? And I've got a better question. Well, why would you get on a boat? You've just wandered through the whole of Asia, the Middle East. And I want to make a point. You've got to remember, Evan, 75,000 years ago, there was an eruption of Mount Toba and a nuclear winter that took place for 10 years, and 95% of the population was wiped out. So what they've said, what the scientists have said, the experts have said, is that we've got south of Africa wasn't too badly affected. Australia was not badly affected, but the rest of the world was, and the population dropped by 90 to 95%.
Yeah, a bit of North Europe escaped too, didn't it?
Yeah, and here's the trick. Just imagine when the winter finishes and all the dust clears and then the sun comes through and then the climates pick up again. These Africans in the south of Africa, the whole of Africa was empty. Can I ask you a question? If they decide to flee Africa then, when it's all empty, why don't they just take the neighbouring empty area and claim that and live there? Why did they leave the whole of Africa? And then when they got out of Africa, they didn't stop, because the theory is they got basically straight to Australia from the time they left. Why did they in such a hurry to get on a boat that faces nothing? But let's leave that for now.
Okay.
But here's the part you probably didn't know, Evan. Right. In recent years, there's been some high-profile archaeological and scientific dating support for the so-called long chronology.
Oh, long.
That's obviously everyone's been talking about that a bit, right? But here's the part we didn't know. But these have been contested by some archaeologists who prefer a short chronology, often citing genetic evidence to buttress their case. They have been backed by most genetic researchers. So most genetic researchers have been backing the short chronology.
Right.
They're now telling the short chronology is wrong. Okay. And most of them are backing that. Weren't they also backing 40,000 years? But that's wrong too. Now, did you know there were 2 groups fighting over this?
No.
Now, well, guess what? You're going to find out later that they'll openly admit to you that, oh, look, the short chronology has been giving, you can put one piece of work in there and date it 3 times, and the dates can vary by thousands of years. And they said that's always been a problem.
Right.
So when they were telling us, the genetics tell us they've been here 40,000 years, they're picking the result that fitted. The other 3 didn't.
Isn't that confirmation bias?
Well, here's the interesting part. They admit that that was a problem. And they also admit that nobody knew it was a problem. In this paper, they make it clear, the short chronology is weak because you get different results, but no one knew about it. So they were getting different results that contradicted what they said, and they didn't tell anyone until now.
Oh, right.
So they've told us now.
Oh, okay.
So let's read on. So we start with the fact that they were the first people to sail anywhere. Now, to be fair, if we just picked and choose this, it would seem like we're cherry picking, wouldn't it? So would you read the answer, results. Just the results? Okay. And I won't say a word. I'll let you go on your own. Here you go, Evan. Enjoy yourself.
bear with me here. We constructed trees from...
Trees?
Yes, trees.
Oh, okay.
2,456 mitochondrial genomes, mitogenomes, figures 1 and 2, data S1, tables S1 and S2.
Oh.
And estimated haplogroup ages using 4 different methods.
Oh.
Maximum likelihood, ML, beast skyline.
Beast?
Yeah, I've actually never heard of beast before.
Oh.
Beast constant size.
Oh, that one.
And looks like some sort of funny looking P that's maybe part of the Greek alphabet. Perhaps.
Well, you sound a bit dumb, Evan. You're not getting any of this right. Keep going.
Including one method, B skyline, and 2 mutation rates, 33 and 34. See table S3. We summarize results from 3 methods, ML, B skyline, and Greek P. And if it's not from the Greek alphabet, I'm sorry. Oh. I'm thinking because it's like alpha, omega, one of those kind of things.
Oh, you would use that, yeah.
Okay. Fig 3, which suggests that while the estimates vary considerably...
Oh, not again.
Yes. There is no evidence for any systematic bias. When we cite approximate dates below...
Approximate, yeah.
Yes. The range indicates the overlap between confidence intervals in the 3 best estimates, 33.
Oh, thank you, Evan. So that should be clear to everyone now they've heard that. And Evan, show them the next page. Come on, show them that. Check that out, guys. Mate, anyone that sees that will say, fair enough then, you got that. That's pretty deadly. Okay, so I'm sure everyone's pretty well now convinced these guys are on top of everything. I just want to make a point about this. Do you realise that these scientific papers, 95% of them are read by less than 10 people? And one of the main reasons is you can't read them. It took me about 5 goes to start to break through that, and of course some of it I can't. I'm not going to make claims.
I mean, more people are going to read like the ABC.
They'll read the ABC one,
but they won't read the actual paper.
Oh my God, the ABC wouldn't put any of that in because they knew that would be ridiculous. But look, just to be fair, and it feels like we're just picking and choosing here, I've just got this one I need to read because this is the chronology of the early settlement in Sahul, and when they need to give them that
down to about
from there to there, just to give them a feel. Don't read it all. There you go.
Haplogroup M and Sahul, and if people don't realise what Sahul is like a supercontinent. It's Australia, it's Papua New Guinea, it's all of the Torres Strait, it's Tasmania.
Keep going.
Is mainly found to the north in New Guinea and near Oceania, with 3 major basal haplogroups diverging from the root of haplogroup M, M27, M28, and M29 apostrophe Q. Australian clades within the M are fewer and less common. 13, M14, M15 degree 16, M42A, and M42C of figure A, data S, and table S5. The M29 apostrophe Q dates to 59 to 73 Ka and diverges into 2 main clades. M29 dating to 12 to 21 Ka, Q dating to 48 to 60 Ka. Their restriction to the northern Sahul near Oceania plausibly suggests an origin within this region.
All right, thank you. So there you go, guys. Now you've got the actual part about Sahul. They've covered all of it. So you know where they're taking this. And those 10 people who can understand this, they probably do know where they're going.
Yes.
But for the rest of us, and that includes Evan and myself, and I want to apologise for Evan's appalling reading of this. Just don't seem to get your head around this one, do you?
No.
Well, thank God you're reading it, not me. Okay, so now we've set things up. But as I go a bit further, I read a little clue here that worries me a bit, Evan.
Oh.
And I'll read this one.
Worried.
I'm going to read this one because there's one sentence and there's no stupid words in there.
I'm not seeing any weird codes in there.
No, here we go. And it says here, while there is no absolute one-to-one overlap of MT DNA and Y chromosome found in images. Well, there's a problem there. They don't overlap.
Oh.
So now the Y chromosome is from us, right? And the MT DNA is from the women. What they're saying is they don't overlap. We're getting this thing about the fact they don't actually agree again.
Oh.
So we've got a few problems here as we read along. Now on the next page, we've got a lot of problems. And let's read with, and I'm going to let you read this one, and it's readable. There you go. Read that one from there to there, please. Here we go. Here's some of the problems that they've admitted in their paper.
Oh, I see English words in here. Almost uniquely outside Africa, most of the ancestry of the modern Aboriginal people of Australia and New Guinea can be traced to the earliest settlement. In terms on unparental markers, there is a suite of mtDNA and Y chromosome lineages that are unique to this continent, which evolved clearly from clearly defined ancestors within the continent.
So hang on, we've got a problem now. We've got all this mDNA and Y chromosome stuff that's unique to the continent.
Yes.
But they're supposed to have come straight from Africa. So why is it that all this stuff that's now developing is unique to Australia, but they have a common ancestor? Now let's pause for a sec.
Okay.
Let's try some other markers that the people that are listening might understand. Have you heard of the word? It's a tricky word, Neanderthal.
Yeah. Well, I have.
Have you got any Neanderthal in you? About 1%.
Yeah, I've got only a little bit because I have more of something else thanks to you.
Oh yeah, right. We'll get to that in a sec. So you've got Neanderthal. I've got Neanderthal. All original people have Neanderthal. Asians have a Neanderthal. Caucasians have Neanderthal. What about Africans?
They don't have any.
Well, we got a problem, Houston. Let's try the next one. And by the way, they're going to talk about this one too. Denisovan.
Yes.
Right. What's my Denisovan content? 4.7.
4.7.
One of the highest on the planet. And what do they say in there? They say that basically people from the Philippines, and particularly everyone in Oceania, but particularly Australian original people, have a high, in fact, the Australian original people have the highest Denisovan content in the world.
Yes.
And mine's one of the highest. But here's the point. What about the Africans? Do they have Denisovan?
No.
Oh, my God. We're getting a problem here, Houston. And don't the original people have a distinct mitochondrial strand that no one in the planet has, just them alone?
Yes.
Do the Africans have that one?
No, they do not.
Well, I can see what they're talking about here. Okay. There's a suite of mtDNA and Y chromosome lineages that are unique to the continent. So here we are. We've got two groups of African coming here, but these Africans don't have mitochondrial DNA that comes from Denisovans. They don't have them from Neanderthal. They don't have them from a unique strand the original people have, but they're the same group.
Oh.
That's what the paper says.
Right.
Let's read on. Okay. Oh, here's the best one. They start to talk about the fact they want to do the long chronology. While informative about subsequent dispersals, such results cannot tell us much about the earliest stages of settlement in the continent. Now they're telling us that whatever we get can't tell us much, but they're going to tell us they come in two groups and they're going to give us a date.
Yes.
Then it goes further. This is the best part. Remember, this is science, isn't it? We must therefore rely largely upon inferences from the contemporary variation. So this paper, which is champions mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosome, and gives us the feel, and they gave us that beautiful graph in the beginning, didn't they? Now they're telling us that we're going to do this all on inferences.
Ooh, hello.
So we're starting to read into this paper that supports. Doesn't mean that it proves, it supports something. Something they want to look at. So let's go a bit further on to the next page. And we've got here. Now let's talk about this horrible short chronology, Evan.
Oh, the short one.
Yes. And as everyone here would know, as the people are reading this, it's called the Bayesian approach.
Oh, that's a new one.
No, it's not. They've been using it all the time.
Right.
Why don't you know that?
I've never heard of Bosnian before. I still don't know what beast skyline is either.
Oh, come on, get your
When I think of that, I think of Godzilla or something.
Here we go. The Bayesian approach has some problems that have received little attention. Now let's pause for a sec, Evan. If this approach that they've been championing in mainstream media and telling us all the way along has got some problems that have received little attention. Why have they received little attention? Because they didn't want to tell us about it.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yes.
And said in practice, it gives extremely, not just anything, extremely variable outputs. It says in here, even with similar sets of samples, the estimated range can be extremely different. So the theory that we had that told us they'd been here 40,000 years, that so many of the archaeologists have stuck by and attacked us for going further, they are admitting here that you get different, you can put the same set of samples in and get very different results. And they said, we all know this. And then the big question in this statement is it says it's received very little attention. Why? Because they didn't want you to hear about it. It received very little attention because they didn't want anyone to know that they were doing things. And by the way, these guys have found a better way of doing it by relying on inferences. Now, we need to pause for a sec. Now, Evan, can you put up the dates for us, please? Okay, let's look at the inferences because they have chosen some. What they've done is they've chosen some estimates of 63,000 years. Oh, 63,000 years. But the earlier ESR estimate of 63,000 Ka has been revised using OSL to 40. So here's two tests they did.
Right.
Two tests that they stand by. One gives them 63 and one gives them 40.
It's quite a big difference.
Of about 50% between two standardized tests that they have been telling us in mainstream. This is the final answer. We're doing genes now, you can't argue with it. But there's two genetic tests that give a difference of 23,000 years. So we're starting to find when you read this paper, if you read between the lines, and even try and read the lines, they chose some dates. What they said was this, that the dates for the short archaeology, this is a short chronology, of 40,000 years, are in contest with the archaeological dates they were getting of 50, 52, 55, 60. And they said something's wrong. So they've created a new form called long chronology based mainly on what? Inferences.
Yes. The
and admitting that nearly all of the DNA activity did happen when they got here, not before they got here, admitting that, and conceding that there are no, and by the way, remember this, if the Africans came here and they have no mitochondrial DNA from Neanderthal, Denisovan, or the mystery strand, where did it go? Because when they came here, they had none of it. And once they got here, they got all of it.
They got all of it, yeah.
But they didn't have it before. And it all happened here. But they're telling us that they came here at a certain time in two groups. And when they're telling us when they got here, it goes crazy.
Yeah.
So let's read on because we're starting to get different things. And read this. It says here, with similar sets of examples, the estimated rate can be very different. Well, why do they get dates? Now, here are some other dates we've got there, ladies and gentlemen. And every one of those dates you're seeing at the moment that Evan's put up, the dates were not made up by us. Every one of them was made up by one of their dating techniques.
Yes.
But which one? Was it short? Was it long? Was it Bayesian? Was it ESR?
Did a beast skyline?
Was the beast involved in that one? We don't know anymore, ladies and gentlemen. But let's just pick, for example, where's the one I want to pick? Which is, why is it not there?
This one.
Oh, thank you. Let's pick Point Moisel. Point Ritchie. Now, this is a site that was worked on by Jim Bowler. Now, Jim Bowler is called the grandfather of Australian archaeology. And he was the one up until recently who was fighting for the 40,000 years. Because Alan Thorne gave a date of Lake Mungo, 1 and 3, of 63. And Bowler said he's wrong because it was 63. Then the out of Africa theory is wrong. And we all know it's right. So therefore, you're wrong. He chose an inference, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did. And he stood by it. And then recently what he said was, ignore everything I said because I was wrong. Now, Point Ritchie is on the coast in Victoria. Now, all of the models have them coming from the north, don't they? Not from the south.
Always from the north.
Always from the north. And the model goes like this. They get up the top and slowly make their way around the coast. And to get down to Victoria takes 20,000 years. And then after that, they start to go in through the river systems, and that takes another 10,000 years. And finally, they end up in the desert. And then there's dates there that are way too high anyway, but we won't go down that path for now. We'll leave that. Now, what happened here was he started getting dates of 90,000 to begin with, remember?
Yes, that's right.
And he said, no, I want more. Oh, this is too radical. I want more. And he got more. But the dates were older. It's 120. Now, what is this site? Well, the two dates came from two things. They came from a midden pile.
Yes.
And as original people know, and non-original people would know, in fact, most people know about middens. It's where all the shells are kept together and they're stacked by humans, and they come back and eat there, cook their food there. That becomes their seaside restaurant. It's a bit like Doyle's in Sydney. But the problem was that they dated the midden, and they got that date, and then they found some cooking that had took place, and that gives you charcoal, of course, and they got dates from that. And the dates were all the same, right, around this 120,000 years. Yeah. But don't worry, Evan. Oh. Mainstream have inferencing.
Oh, good old inferencing.
Oh, yes, they inferenced.
That gets you out of...
That gets you out of anything. You find a Chinese artefact up in the top end, what do you say? The gold miners dropped it, right? Well, here, it's different. It wasn't the gold miners, and it wasn't the Chinese that did it. It was the bloody seagulls.
Oh, those pesky seagulls.
Oh, those
and
seagulls.
Here I was just thinking they wanted chips.
No. Hey, mate, 120,000 years ago, there were no chip shops.
Oh, okay. So they had to do something else.
They had to do something different. So what the experts have said, and by the way, if you think I'm joking, check it out. This is what they said. I'm only going to give you the two examples to dismiss the midden and the fire. And they said with the midden, humans didn't do it. Seagulls did it. What the seagulls did is they picked up the shells and they flew all to one place, pried the shell open, and then placed it in the midden.
So they're OCD seagulls.
Yeah. Well, in those days, mate, those seagulls were adamant. Everything had to be done to a routine. Right. And all of them were locked into the same routine.
Right.
It was like a communal hive.
Okay.
And the queen was bee. It's not a bee. It's a queen gull now, isn't it? The queen gull sent out this message: we shall all dine together.
That's lovely.
And they did. Yes. And they did that, and that dismissed that. But we've got a problem because we've got cooking going on there and charcoal, and they've got the same sort of date. But that's okay because that was not caused by the seagulls, because that'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it?
So they weren't cooking.
No, because that means they've got to make fire.
Oh, okay.
And see, with their little claws, they can't rub the sticks together.
Yeah.
They don't have that ability, obviously. So they found an explanation for that. It's a scientific one.
Oh, good. Okay.
Right. So what happens is in Australia, and by the way, we better tell the Australians now before we tell them this to explain why they shouldn't run. Okay. In Australia, a lot of people on the coast, when the fire comes, when the bushfires come, that happens in Australia a lot, they run to the beach. Ooh. And they stand in the water. Well, that's ridiculous.
Oh, apparently
they'll die.
To do that anymore. No,
they'll die. Yeah. Because the experts found out the reason there was so much fire down there was bushfire. Bushfires actually jump onto the sand, and as we know, you chuck a match onto sand, and you know what happens, don't you? Just goes up.
Right.
And they decided that the cooking wasn't cooking; it was a residual of bushfires that burnt the sand and burn everything and then cause that heat, and therefore they found the charcoal and stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, Moyjul is not legitimate. It's actually a combination of errant bushfires and OCD seagulls.
Wow.
Or 120,000 years ago, well before anyone left Africa, there were people gathering shells and cooking on the beach, which is what original people were doing when Cook came.
So out of those two explanations, one sounds more likely than the other.
Yeah, it's obvious it's the seagulls and the bushfire.
Seagulls and bushfire.
Okay, let's read on now. We've done that. I'll go to the next page here. We're back onto this again. I just deviated for a second here. Okay. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Next up, they've talked about Mount Toba. And to begin with, they used to say that the African Homo sapiens left about 60,000 years ago and got here 40,000 years. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not that now. Mount Toba erupted, okay? It says here, our new analysis suggests, right, rather, that the main dispersals of Homo sapiens out of Africa took place between 75,000 years ago, right? And it links into Toba. And they're saying that the Toba created this massive spread. Now, we spoke about this earlier. I will tell you now, if the world is nearly wiped out and there are remnant small surviving populations, their first reaction after the whole planet has been turned into nuclear winter is not to walk, probably walk and sail about 5,000 kilometers before getting still again. What you would do is, if everyone else around you has been wiped out and you want more land, it's right next to you. Why would you walk 5,000 kilometers, get on the side of a beach and say, over there's nothing, let's sail towards it?
Yes.
We'll go there. And by the way, that has always been part of the model. No matter what date you get, it'll always be the same thing. It is the first time humans have sailed this distance in such a large boat, and there's no example of it happening anywhere for another 45,000 years. And they said, oh, that's because they forgot how to get here. That's another one I've heard too. When I went to uni, they said that. Oh, when they got here, they forgot how to make boats.
What?
Man, they were the only ones in the world who made them.
And then they just magically forgot.
They just forgot. Only ones in the world that made boats that could sail for hundreds of kilometers and carry 20, 30 people. That's a big step forward. When they got here, they sat around and said, how do we do that?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Oh, don't worry about it. We're stuck here anyway. And they're going to a place that's got brand new animals, brand new flora and fauna. Everything is weird and different to them.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're going to do straight away is forgot how they got here. And don't forget, everywhere they went was empty. So it's not as if they couldn't go back and settle somewhere else, could it? No, they forgot the whole thing. And they basically said the out of Africa dispersals took place in the wake of the nuclear winter triggered by Mount Toba eruption in Sumatra 74,000 years ago. That's what they said, as previously suggested by analysis of South Asian
Wait a
data.
second. So if they've come from Africa, that would have to go through the destruction zone through Sumatra to get to Australia.
Yeah.
What? Like you would assume if they got closer to the volcano, they'd go, "Oh, this is no good to live here."
No, you would assume. Why did they flee towards it?
But
what people will say is they didn't know that it happened. They just stood there and said, "Oh shit, it got dark all of a sudden. We don't know why." Right? They'll say that. They'll say they didn't work it out. But hang on, they're the same people who invented the boat.
True.
Right? They'd be the smartest people ever existed. Actually, the smartest people who existed sit on the shoreline and say, "Look, there's nothing over there. Let's all sail there and see what happens."
Yeah, we'll just keep going.
That sounds stupid. But they also invented the boat. Anyway, so this rapid dispersal took place from Africa, so we're told. Right. Okay, moving along. We've got to get through this a bit. Okay, what have we got next?
We've got Lake George at 126,000.
Oh, yeah, that one's probably definite. That's 126,000 years, and that's double the date. And by the way, that's about 200 kilometres inland off the coast.
Yeah, we've driven past it once.
Yeah, and what you've got there is a massive increase from 126,000 years to now in charcoal deposits. But for the 4 million years before, there's none. and all of a sudden appears, and people said it could be fire stick farming. But then they went further and looked at it in more detail and found out when the charcoal levels were high in that area, it's when the lake was full. And when the charcoal levels were low, the lake was empty.
Right.
So which means is these bushfires that are supposed to have taken place there, that's what they said that happened, right? Happen when it's wet, and when it's dry, it doesn't.
Wow.
Right. No, that is fire stick farming. All right, leave all those dates for now. And what I want to look at next is, I'm not even sure what this one's about. Oh, yeah, here's another one here. This goes further on here. It talks about the same thing. And it goes on with this long-running question, they call it. Allows us that the rise in the data set and strong representation of both New Guinean and Australian lineages allows us to tentatively, there's another one of those words, Evan.
Oh, they like those.
Disentangle this long-running question. First, we must re-emphasize the point that it is clear from the mitogene data that New Guinean and Australian ancestry diverged at very early stage in the settlement process. Why? Why did it diverge so much at the start? All they had were Africans. No one else. There's no other group, population that can interfere with them. They're on their own here. This is contrary to a suggestion based on the whole genome process, where the reduced divergence was most likely effect on the later gene flow. So now they're telling us they had another piece of information that says the complete opposite. But our one is correct because we're doing better inferences and we're picking and choosing. None of the dates we've got, none of the 10 dates we've got, they're picking a date of 63,000 years in the northern part. Yeah, that's a date. That's really 95,000 years for that one. That's a panoramity. There are plenty of them. And there's a picture of it's a saltwater crocodile, ladies and gentlemen, panoramity, which is near Lake Eyre. And the head is over 2 meters long. And that is a cast of it. And it's got writing on it. And it's considered to be one of the most magnificent engravings in the world. And it was dug out with a jackhammer in the 1930s, taken to the South Australian Museum and never displayed. Yeah. That was actually a resin cast that was hidden underneath the table with no label as to what it was. Just laid there, didn't it, Evan?
Yeah.
And we pulled it out, and the lady in the kiosk shop said, "Oh, pull it out. I want to have a look at it." She'd never seen it before, had she?
Yeah.
No, that.
And then we did an article about it, and then magically within a couple of weeks, the plastic one
was gone. Too. Yeah, we wrote about the fact, why don't they display the real one, or even better, put it back where it came from? And a couple of weeks later, the one that was sitting underneath the table was taken away and hidden and never came back. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are dates out there, but they don't like you talking about them because they were made by scientists. Okay, leave all that. We're going to move on to this one. Okay, we've got some more to do here. Right. Oh, yeah, here's the next one. Here's what they write here, and they don't follow it through. There's two things they don't follow through here. The connection of Sahul populations to original Philippine groups is reinforced by the presence of distinctively high levels of Denisovan-related trogression in both, possibly relating to interbreeding with other groups. So what they're talking about here is the incredibly high level of Denisovan. What they don't go on with is this. If the Denisovan were only ever found in Asia and Europe, and here's the best part, they reckon they know what date happened when the Denisovan mitochondrial DNA entered the original people. Do you remember the date? It's 44,000 years. That's 20,000 years after they got here.
Right.
I want you to think about that, ladies and gentlemen. That's the date the experts gave for when the original people got a Denisovan surge
So
of
that,
mitochondrial DNA.
but that means either the original people here from Australia got to the Denisovans, or the Denisovans got here.
No, didn't happen. They said the Australian people, the African people, when they got here, they forgot the boat, remember?
Right, okay.
Right? And they never got out again. They were stuck here until Cook, right?
But I didn't. So
No, that's the rule.
Right.
And the second part is that the Denisovans were in Europe and Asia, but never in Australia. They're the rules.
Then how do they?
They never talk about it.
Right.
They just say it happened, but they don't want to talk about it because they started to talk about how could this happen if you tell me it's 44,000 years and they came here 65,000 years and they never left and the Denisovans never came here, they will not discuss it. They'll acknowledge it, but they will not discuss it because if they discussed that, they'd have a problem.
Wow.
But we've got a bigger problem coming up because here in the paper on page 11 is the clanger. It's one sentence.
Oh, okay.
And this is what they say. Okay. And they go on to say that what we've got here, we have redressed and refined a Western science narrative that supports the peopling of Sahul in deep time, but it also acknowledges and respects the ontological perspective that many Indigenous people hold. We have always been here.
Yes.
So it respects it and acknowledges it.
By what? Refuting it?
Yeah. By saying it's ridiculous and wrong, and they got here 60,000 years ago, we respect the fact that these people are idiots.
So it sounds
because
like
they got it wrong.
The whole statement is just some lip service.
It's not even lip service. It's got the magic word in the sentence where you know there's something wrong with it. Have you heard this one? I'm not racist, but.
Right.
This one, it says, we've done refined a Western science narrative that supports the peopling of Sahul in deep time. But, having said that, we also acknowledge when. Did they acknowledge it in the rest of the paper? No, they acknowledge it now and respect that many Indigenous people hold we have always been here. No, they don't. If they wanted to respect that, they would have chosen Jimbalna State, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Or Panoramity. They would have chosen Alan Thorne State, that WLH3 is really 63,000 years ago old. And by the way, WLH3 and WLH1 are basically out near Broken Hill. Well, when were they supposed to get there, Evan?
Well, yeah.
65,000 years to get to the top.
Yes.
Another 20,000 years to get around, then get in there.
Yeah.
It should be. Couldn't be more than 40, which is what Jim Bowler used to say. But now he says I'm wrong. He's now got dates of 120,000 years. Yeah. Oh, no, 400. Oh.
No, 400,000 years.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to bring something in now that you've said that. The gentleman who just put in 400 to 400,000 years, you've given a very good date. And let me explain to you, there is a scientist who agrees with you. The two people that came out with a molecular clock and the genetic dating of the world of the Africans had three markers for the genetic clock. Number one, that the original people have been in Australia for 50,000 years and they have 1/3 the genetic diversity of the Africans. You multiply 50,000 by 3, you get 150,000 years, and that's when they claim Homo sapiens came out of Africa. That was their claim. Now, Wilson and Cann made that claim. Then Rebecca Cann, after it came out, retracted that claim. She said, I did study of about 120 of Indigenous people from 26 groups, and there were 12 original DNA, mitochondrial DNA. And she said the oldest and most varied group were the original people at 400,000 years. Your best suggestion is much closer to the truth. Now, they said 400,000 years. Now, Alan Wilson, he was the male of the group and the senior academic, wasn't he? He raced down to Australia and looking for full descent original people with no white fella in them. Because a lot of this time by then, when they were getting the mitochondrial DNA, a lot of original people were not full descent, were they? They didn't factor that in, man. They just said, oh, look, you're black. Yeah, I've got an Irish dad, but yeah, I'm still black. And they are. But this is the point. Wilson came down and he tested those 12. And he came back and said the mitochondrial variation of these people was 70%. They thought it was 10%. And he said, we got it wrong. Both Wilson and Can, who made the molecular clock and started the story of out of Africa, they're the ones who began it. Both said, we're wrong. It's Australia. And they gave dates of 400,000 years. So I was going to do that one soon, but since it turned up there, I fixed up what Bob had to say because he's correct. And I think if someone makes a good comment, we should praise them for it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we've done is we've picked and choose, but I think what we should finish with is this. We started with a reading, right? We should finish with a reading.
Oh, okay.
Read this until you give up. This is this is the sequencing.
Oh, good God. We amplified mitogenomes in 2 long-range PCR fragments following a modified version of the published protocol. We designed a new reverse primer for the second fragment. Wow. 6,345 REV colon 5 degree dash AGAT GG TTA GG TC TA.
It goes on like that for the whole paragraph.
I haven't even got halfway through.
Mate, look at the last 2 lines, the last 3 lines, Evan. What are they?
There's another one.
No, there's 3 lines of them.
Right.
Of G, G, C, G, G, G. It just goes on and on and on. The reason I'm reading that, ladies and gentlemen, is the scientists claim they know everything. And when you read that paper, you'll find it's based on inferences. It's based on contradictions. It's based on guesswork. And it's based on what we think fits, what we want to hear. This is a story we see constantly, and it never stops. I mean, Evan just put up a picture of Cow Swamp. Do you realize that Cow Swamp, which looks nothing like anyone else ever, and has a thickness of the skull that is 4 times that of the Gracile original people, also in Australia at the same time? And remember, it was supposed to be Gracile Africans who came here. These guys aren't Gracile. Do you know what the Australian government and the experts did with Cow Swamp? Number 1, they flooded it. And number 2, they took out 26 skulls and bones from there and took them away to study them and then lost them all. And they said, we didn't lose it, we gave it to the Lands Council. The Lands Council said, you never gave it back to us. And for the last 20 years, that's been the continual argument. The government says, we gave it to you. Yeah. Oh, Stringer says, was a great loss to science and the human race as a whole. It was wrong to give any living group a unique claim of material like Cow Swamp. He's not saying all the material has been destroyed, but certainly don't see it being available for scientific study, says Stringer. Now, this is a story about the fact that it was lost.
There it is now.
There it is now. They flooded the whole of the lake and they put a big wall around it, and no one's allowed to look anymore. And no one's allowed to use the water. It's in the desert. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's mainstream. Now, in the little bit of time we've got left, we've got to get onto a seal. We won't have much time for that. Okay, this is what was being found, not by them, but by people, other people. We'll mention their names right now. And this is what was found. It's a Chinese seal. Where it was found was 90 kilometers inland from Darwin. And what we're going to do right now is it was looked at. We're involved in examining what's taken place there. And what Evan's going to do now is going to read from a preliminary report. Now, there's been 2 that's been done. One by us, right? And we went on site. And another one by experts and academics from England and America that have been researching the markings on there to find out what it says. And now Evan's going to read from a preliminary report that was made by the experts from overseas, not us. This one he will be able to read. Yeah.
To that end, a preliminary report has just been released, which is the first of two. The initial academic interpretation and contextual analysis was later undertaken by Ed Lu, Chinese scholar, and Ian Hudson, and team Menzies Foundation, with an external review and correspondence with Dr. Luke Li Ping, curator of the Chinese paintings and prints at the British Museum. The abstract that opens the paper states that in May 2002, a copper alloy seal bearing the Chinese inscriptions was discovered in Tortilla Flats. I think that might be 22, actually.
It's 22.
Yeah, sorry. Northern Territory, Australia. Preliminary metallurgical and epigraphic analysis suggests the object predates any known modern or colonial presence in the region. The artefact associated with Taoist deity worship may indicate an ancient maritime connection between Asia and Northern Australia.
Right. Now go a bit further and you're going to read a second part. Now this is another part of the paper, and the first part you got read there was written by Dr. Liu. Dr. What's his name?
Luke Lu Ping.
Who works for this British Museum, ladies and gentlemen. This is not just anyone down the street that's working with us. These are the best experts in the world. And they've been liaising with all their colleagues. Now, there's another comment in there that comes from the American scholar. And what did he say?
Ed Lu is convinced that the manner of manufacture and the precision of casting and the alloy composition suggest imperial foundry origins, possibly from Tang, Song, or Yuan dynasties, 7th to 14th century CE.
Now, there's a lot of arguments, and they're still working on a date, and they are going to do tests to get a final date. The dates we're getting are from around about the 1300s to about 900 BC. So 1300 AD to 900 BC. The being involved is an incredibly important deity. And it has about 12 different, it can be the god of thunder, he can be the celestial master, he can be all sorts of things. He's such an important deity. It came from basically the emperor's palace, and only the emperor and his lineage could even touch this seal. Now, the standard throwaway line is, oh, a Chinese gold miner dropped it. And by the way, this was used for this one.
I also got this bought off Timo and have recently just thrown on the ground.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, the problem with that is, ladies and gentlemen, this came from the Royal Court, and no Chinese gold miner is even allowed to enter the court, let alone walk in and pick this seal up and take it away. It has about 5 different purposes in it. But the most important part of the seal is this. Read that, please. It's the metallurgical examination of what was in the seal in regard to elements.
The alloy composition was remarkable, showing advanced metallurgical knowledge inconsistent with colonial or industrial contamination.
Now, this is the important point, ladies and gentlemen. The number of elements inside this particular seal was 27. Now, that's massive. An incredible amount of chemistry that went into this. And it's actually 2 different alloys that have been joined together. One is copper-based, and you're looking at that now. And at the back, there's an iron-based alloy that's been rammed into the circle at the back of it. And they're 2 different alloys. Now, what's really important is that's how the seal works. You stamp, you put ink on the top, then stamp it out. And that would mean it comes from the Royal Court. What the hell is it doing here? Now, more importantly, the most important part is that within that chemical analysis, which they refer to as remarkable, we have 2 elements. One is called titanium. Now, titanium is in the copper element, the copper alloy, and that makes up 9 of the 11 readouts we've got. And in both of them, the titanium was first used industrially in 1941. there's the two different things there, and I'll leave it on that picture and we'll get to it in a sec. 1941. Now, the molybdenum, which is in the iron alloy, and you can see it now that's at the back, it's interesting. It's 2% on both the readings. Now, molybdenum was first used in any form of industrial endeavor in 1891. This is 1300 AD through to 900 BC. It doesn't fit in. And you know what both those things are? Titanium is the best metal hardener on the planet, and molybdenum is either number 2 or number 3. It fights with chromium. Now, that becomes an issue, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the Australian people who've looked at this, and they were hopeless, and they went overseas to get the best, they noticed this, and they said, oh, it was caused by leaching from the soil. Now, that's interesting. 2%, that's a large intake, and it was leaching from the soil. Now, the people who said that never went onto the site. I did. And I spoke to the person who found it. And they were clearing down near the bottom. And they were slashing down near the bottom and burning down near the bottom. And after they slashed, he was driving along and he saw this bit of metal sticking out of the surface. It was actually embedded into the surface. The bit was sticking out. And he got a pair of a screwdriver or something and dug it out. And they cleaned it up, and there it was. Now, for molybdenum to leach into that metal object, it was on the surface, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, some of it was above the surface. The leaching, water goes down. If you're going to get 2% molybdenum in that, in only, by the way, the iron part.
Right.
No molybdenum in the copper.
Okay.
And with the copper, they've got titanium, but it's not in that one.
Right.
So it only leached in 2 bits. But here's the problem. It would have to be 10 to 15 meters underneath the surface for a long period of time for enough molybdenum that's in the soil to run down with the water to get in there. It can't be at the top. Water doesn't go up. It goes down.
Yep.
So it's impossible for that leaching to take place. And by the way, I've seen the soil. It's just sandy clay. It's rubbish. Now, there's a way of finding out. Get a cup of soil, analyze what's in there, and I'm going to tell you now, there'll be no molybdenum. And around there, I know what's there. There's no molybdenum. They do mine for gold,
Right.
but not for that. There is a molybdenum mine in Northern Territory, but nowhere near there.
Okay.
So that's what they claim. The answer was, I got leached in. Well, it didn't, because it wasn't 10 to 15 meters beneath the surface. It was found sticking out of the surface. It was found sticking out, so that's just not possible. Why those elements are here? Well, that tells you something amazing. It tells you that the chemistry that was used, and it could be even in the BCs or just into the ADs, when that was used, they knew these things were metal hardness. Now, what does that tell me? It starts to tell me there's a completely different story going on here that doesn't fit into the inferences that the archaeologists have.
Yes.
And remember how they pick and choose their inferences? Remember, they didn't choose Cow's Swamp, they didn't choose Panoramity, they didn't choose Point Moytrel, did they?
So they must have been core and elective.
Yes, I think so.
Like the John Howard core and elective promises.
And these are all electives, not cores. And with this one, 90 k's from the coast, well, don't tell them. And also, what was claimed at the time was it was dropped by a gold miner. There is no Chinese gold miner that would drop this for 2 reasons. Number one, they couldn't get it. And number 2, if they managed to get it, do you know what the seal guarantees them? Wealth. Now, I'm a Chinese gold miner, and I'm coming to Australia. What am I looking for?
Wealth.
And now I throw away the thing that guarantees me wealth.
Yeah,
what does that guarantee me now? Poverty.
Poverty, huh?
Yeah. And you know the Shaolin statue that was found in Darwin?
Yes, I think
4 feet beneath the surface, and a banyan tree. Well, that one, 4 feet beneath the surface in a banyan tree, was found in the 1870s by people putting in a road when they dug the banyan tree up and found it 4 feet down.
There we go.
That one. Guess what? 4 feet beneath the surface. And basically the origins of the 14th century, which is the 1300s again, which is before anyone else came here. It is a statue that guarantees longevity. So the seal guarantees wealth. This statue guarantees longevity. And the stupid Chinese gold miners, they dropped them both.
Wow, so forgetful.
That's called spiritual suicide, isn't it?
I would, yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a discovery that's been made up in Darwin, 90 k's off the coast. That one was in Darwin, on the coast, right? 90 k's off, which asks many questions. How did it get there? I can also tell you this thing is so holy that if it was transported in a boat, which it had to be, well, maybe it isn't, we're not sure about that. If it was transported in a boat, there is a special shrine that's created around it, and it's held within the shrine. It is so sacred and so important. So, and on the sides of it, oh, and there's another one. If you can just put the coin up.
Yep.
See that coin there? That was found about 5 years ago by an archaeologist. And when he found it, he took pictures of it to show you there it is, right? Minute between 1736 and 1795. Cook's just got here, right? Located in Elcho Island. And what did they do with it when they found it? When they finished, they took a picture of it and threw it away. I never picked it up again. It's gone. It's lost. They did that because they said, oh, it was on Aboriginal land, so we have to give it back to them. That's new, isn't it? They picked up a lot of things on Aboriginal land before and it never got back to them.
We're still trying to get some stuff back.
Yeah.
From various museums.
They are. Well, they're gone one step further. They just chucked it away. And what they said, and by the way, there's an ABC report on this one. They said we had a meeting with the government. The government told us if we find anything, we've got to throw it away. The ABC went and interviewed the government. The government said, we never had a meeting with them. That's a lie. We never told them that. No. And then they went further and said, how come they were working there? Because that's a gazetted site. And they didn't get permission to work there. We've got no paperwork to say they should even be there. So what right have they got to throw it away? And what right have they got to be there? Now that is how we do archaeology in Australia, ladies and gentlemen. And at that particular time, because we try to do a 1 hour session, we're finishing up now. The seal is a work in motion. They are working on an interpretation of it as completely spiritual. It's a very, very important seal. One of the most important artifacts, in fact, probably the most important non-Aboriginal artifact found in Australia ever.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind, I'm doing a whole book on Dr. Charles, just on people visiting Australia, and just about everyone came here.
Oh, look, the Egyptians were here, the Phoenicians were here, the Chinese were here, the Pleiadians were here. And all of those groups we're talking about were here for the long term. We do know there are stories, dreaming stories up the top end, about people living there for thousands and thousands of years who had light skin, wore sarongs, and grew rice.
Lived in
houses.
Wooden houses.
Yeah. And lived there for thousands of years. And actually the story is 2 tribal estates, part of that was given to them to farm. I want you to think about this for a sec, ladies and gentlemen. Rice farming means you dig the soil up and leave it dug up for 6 months of the year and put rice in there. That's against the dreaming. They were allowing them to do things that are against the dreaming and made it very clear they were welcome. They loved having them there, and they were very, very sad when they left. And they were called the Barney people. And those artifacts you just found 90 k's inland is proof they were there. But you know what? When the original people spoke to the archaeologists and told them about the Barney people, you know what they said? Oh, we respect and acknowledge what you said, but it's rubbish. There was no one there. You're wrong. You got it mixed up with the Macassans. Mind you, they said these people had light skin and grew rice. Macassans were after sea slugs. They didn't come to Australia to grow rice. They never grew a grain of rice. And by the way, in the Northern Territory to this day, there is a feral grass seed, which is rice that grows there. And you know, I think what's happened? They bought that rice there, left it, and it slowly went back to its original form.
Yeah, like it's...
And it's still growing there today, ladies and gentlemen. And I can tell you now, you look up the books and it'll tell you that rice was never found in Australia. It's a grass that grows in Asia. Well, it doesn't. It grows in the Northern Territory, next to where the seal was. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's two pieces of archaeology. One they put up, that they pick and choose what they want.
With lots of inferences and could be's and probables and maybe.
All the genetics happened there. And no, the Africans don't have Denisovan, they don't have Neanderthal, and they don't have the strand that the original people have. But clearly they're all related. And none of that happened then. It's a ridiculous story that they still stick to, and they will tell you that's the fact. But there is one other fact. There was a Chinese seal that's found here, and they haven't made a comment about it, have they?
Nope.
The only people that were asked, they did get some archaeologists paid by the government, and they made a comment and said, no, it's 100 years old. It was dropped by a gold miner. But it wasn't in Cairns, mate. It wasn't in Darwin. It wasn't any of those places. It was 90 k's inland. And do you know what was 90 k's inland when it was dropped? Nothing. No town, nothing.
Right.
Nothing. There was nothing there then. There is a place there now, and I'm not going to say where it is because it gives people a clue where to look, right? But that was built later on.
Yeah.
I mean, Darwin wasn't much of that. There wasn't much of Darwin there 100 years ago either. In fact, most of Darwin didn't exist. It was called Southport.
Okay.
Southport was the place they settled, not Darwin.
Right.
Darwin only became bigger during the Second World War because they had a place where the American troops could land their boats.
Right.
That's how it grew. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're now finished up, and I think we now have who's coming up next. I think I know who's coming next. It's Carrie-Anne. Well, we're going to pass the baton over now because Carrie-Anne's going to talk about something we're doing together that we really want to focus on next year.
Yeah.
And we're going to let her, she's the one who arranged all this and brought it up and suggested we do it. And we're very confident working with this lady, it's going to work out really well. So she's going to spend half an hour having a chat with you, Mob. And okay, so we'll leave our story about mainstream archaeology and the fact that, honestly, if it comes from the government, it's been ticked by the government, it's a lie. It's that simple. It's a lie. Okay, over to Carrie-Anne.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Evan. Stay on if you want. We can chat back and forth, my friends.
Sure.
Big shout out. I can see Lynn and Jennifer in the chats. I love those ladies. Lynn all the way from the US of A. She's such a supporter of everything you guys do, and I get to interact with her a lot. She deals with her own beautiful elders there with the Native Americans, and just such an enlightened lady. So always love seeing her pop up, and Jennifer as well, just such a gorgeous soul. So, Evan, we've got this epic video just to give a little bit of an insight into what's coming up with a documentary that I've been making, mainly featuring you guys. We've got some other epic guests within the documentary as well, and it's still ongoing. It's been taking a while to put it together because we did want to get it at more the top end of production. We feel this particular documentary will go out worldwide because it's something that people need to know about, and it really centers around the magic box activation of 2020, which I was so fortunate to be a part of, a ceremony that you mainly ran, I guess, Steve, but both of you were there, Evan, as well, in the rock circle and the epic way we got together and became tribal and started chanting, and it was like a big Kundalini swirl that we all got into, wasn't it, Steve? Like it came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Really?
You can talk about that,
Yeah, it
Steve.
was a strange one, that, because nobody called anyone up.
Yep.
they just started dancing near the rocks, and it started with 10 and 40 and 50 and 100, 150. Very weird, because it was completely spontaneous and so tribal.
And we weren't able to really get involved because we were still trying to pack up the artifacts. And as the circle of people dancing increased, we kept on like trying to get them out of the way. Like, it was so organic.
And I live with part-time in Vanuatu with the Indigenous, who haven't had the corruption that we've had in Australia with, you know, everything that you guys are talking about, sticking it up the establishment. I've got to say, I just loved your show the other day. Just the entertainment value itself is wonderful. But it's truly so fascinating what you're sharing with us and revealing all the bogus narratives that we're fed on repeat, and just breaking down these paradigms, I guess, of what we thought reality was. So big credit to you both for continuing to speak out, because I know you get in the gun sometimes, as I do. More so than me. I was saying to Steve recently, in 2020 or 2021, it might have been, I interviewed Steve at the end of 2020 at Uluru. Got told that Steve and I needed to go to jail. And then in 2021, I was on the Iconic Network with David Icke. So I had Steve Strong on one side and David Icke on the other. So I got the big gun in Australia and the big gun in UK. And I'm like, hey, I just come in peace. You know, I'm just here for love and awakening, and boom, 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 boom. So it really builds your character, though. You realise that your reputation will be ruined in this arena, and that's okay. It's a great death of the ego. And here we are, 2025, still going. About to enter into 2026, and we always stay in touch. You've been on my shows a few times, and there's always this need when we connect. It's like, oh, surely that's not the end. Let's do more. Let's keep working together, even if it's just to, you know, hang out and have some fun, because we do see reality in such a different way. I mean, we're very quirky and we're very alternative. But, you know, we can get our act together enough to do these presentations. And with my school, My Health Mastery School, which we've just upgraded our websites. We'll come back to the video, Evan. Sorry, I was going to go to the video, but we've got, this share, let's have a look. These are our new websites. We're still tinkering with them. And that's our mastery school. This is where all our online courses are. Just so many online courses that we've developed over the years in natural healing, natural medicine, and then we've got subscription membership classes, all sorts of things that we do at My Health. And let me get this one off. How do I get this off now, Evan? Let's see.
Down, yeah. Okay.
You can bring it down if you want. Just thought, I'm trying to use the technology and just showing you, we've changed our color palette. We've gone to gold. So I feel like we're in the golden age. And incoming into the My Health Mastery School is, of course, Stephen Evan Strong's online course, which really is going to be something very different. I think it ties in with the stream of what we do at My Health, but it is something different in terms of the specificity of the work that you guys do. So, Evan, do you want to talk about your online course that's going to be within our My Health Mastery School and how we're opening that up to the public to actually be certified? It's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, so we've got a few different classes in there. So we'll kind of pull some of our research apart and then kind of involve people with it. So it turns into a bit of a collaboration, but we do actually have a couple of sites in mind that we may have been able to use, like in Tasmania, for some of the attendees, students.
Well, there's two sites. There are two sites at the moment that are not complete. And what we were thinking of doing is to write a course that by the time they finish the course, they have the skills, because we're going to talk about that. They have the skills to contact Aboriginal people. That's one of the courses we're going to look at. They have the skills to go on to a site and know legally what they can and can't do, because you've got to be very careful when you're doing this.
Especially in this country.
Especially in this country. Now, what you've got to understand, if you walk onto a site, that hasn't been gazetted as an original site, then that's okay. You're just looking. But then what you need to understand is what can you actually do when you're there to find out if there's something there and the things you can and can't do. So we sort of make sure that people understand that. But what we mainly give them is the information and what we've done over the last 15 years, how we've got to the stage we are now. So when they look at that site, they have comparisons to look at, and then that gives them a chance to understand what the site means, what the artifacts, what their function is. So it's a sort of a 101 course on not the archaeology that you're going to learn. And by the way, I did 2 years of archaeology at a university.
Yeah, I did a major in anthropology.
Yeah. And I walked out of the course because I found an Egyptian course, an Egyptian site that I knew was Egyptian. I mean, there was a bloody pyramid built on the side of a mountain that was like that. There was about 3,000 rocks in it. It was Egyptian. They refused to mark the course. They said they would not mark my work no matter what I did. And I do remember the very first day I went to archaeology, I went to a general discussion, and a lecturer got up and spoke about what you will not do. And I'm not lying when I say this. He said, we all know there are pyramids in Australia, but you're not to look at them. And when I heard that, I thought maybe this guy's just having a bad day. But when I then put the article in, I walked away from it. I said, I'm not doing this anymore with you. So what I feel like I'm doing now is I did 2 years of that course. By the way, it was mainly a waste of time anyway. What I want to do now is give people the same 2 years that I did, but with the right information, not the information that starts with, if you see a pyramid anywhere in Australia, run the other way and don't mention it to anyone. And I thought to myself when I got there, this doesn't sound good. And then I found out later when I wrote my first major piece of work, they weren't joking. That is the standard reply, not for that university, because let me tell you something. I remember telling someone about that, and I noticed this person's on here at the moment. Her name's Juanita. And we were talking about something we were told about Tasmania. And we were told that the Tasmanian Aboriginal people at my university were the most primitive people in the world. They were the most primitive individuals in the world because they forgot how to basically make fire. Their toolkit became basically really simple, and they had become dumber. And what was interesting was Juanita was there, and she went to a different university and said, we were told exactly the same thing. Now, you know why they were dumber? Because they said they forgot how to make fire. I've been told by the Tasmanian Aboriginal people we did not forget how to make fire. That's the first thing. The second thing is this. Let's just say that they did, just for an instance. And by the way, the original people say it's wrong. White fella says that's stupid. Black fella says that's intelligent. And let me explain why. If I'm not making fire and my fire goes out, I have to go to one of the other 6 mainland tribes and ask for their flame to light my flame so I can go back and carry fire again. Am I going to fight with them? Those people that have fire and I can't make fire anymore, what that does, it makes the 6 tribes become one tribe. And that explains why when the white fellas went to Tasmania, they could not defeat them. They were stuck in Port Arthur and Hobart and could not get out. That's why Truganini and Angus Robertson came along and promised them to have half of Tasmania if they laid down their arms. They could not defeat them because it was 6 tribes working together.
Yeah. And what people may not understand about tribes and living in Vanuatu part-time is they literally do huddle like we were at Uluru with the magic box activation and how we were just spontaneously drawn together to dance and chant. So they will just dance and sing at any time, could be in the street, and then they all draw in together. And I've got goosebumps saying this, I don't know why, because it just touches my heart, but I've seen more so the women, I would say, that will, and they're in Australia, the black fellas are in trouble for sitting around under a tree. Well, more people need to sit around under a tree and commune with nature and receive divine gnosis coming from the pure ether. We've lost our charm and our dreaming and our connection. So they may be sitting around under a tree and they'll literally huddle, and it's very hot there. So I find that fascinating, but they will huddle and cuddle, and it will go on for hours on end. And as a white skin, I've had times where we've been sitting by the river and they'll draw me in. And I don't know these ladies, but they're the kindest heart-based souls in the world. I want to cry talking about this. And they'll just pull you in and they'll hold your hand and rub your hand and rub your heart, and they'll just give this spontaneous healing through touch and through connection and through warmth and smiles. And, I've got a little bit of broken Bishlama, and they've got a little bit of broken, Bishlama is broken English, pidgin English. So we figure it out, but we do a lot of mind-to-mind telepathic communication. They have taught me so much just by living there, being with them, and just that default nature to embracing each other, singing and dancing. Why wouldn't we want to live like this? Like, why are we complicating things?
A really important point you made there, Carrie-Anne, which I want to pick up. When we do our course, when you do a course in university, you will do archaeology, you'll do empirical science, and you won't talk about the fact Elkin said that I saw a black fella walk for a tree. Elkin said I was with this man that sung out to this other man and called him. And 7 hours later, this guy walked over the hill and said, I heard you called me. He's talked about Aboriginal men of high degree, the magic men, the men that could create magic. In the course I did, the word magic was never used. In the course we do, it's an empirical part of the whole event. If you don't talk about the magic, you don't talk about the healing you're talking about now, if you don't talk about that tribal lifestyle and what it did, and how it impacted, then you're not doing a story about original people. What you're doing is a white fella's story where they pick inferences that suit what they want to hear. We don't do that. When we were given ceremony, I was given ceremony by Kano a long, long time ago. I was told, never pick and choose. Whatever you told by the elders, you put down. So if they start telling me, and I'm writing a book right now saying, why would we introduce magic? Because I've done the first half of the book is all archaeology. My answer is this. If I don't talk about the magic, then I've done half the story. And half the story on its own is rubbish. You've got to have the full story. Like you were talking there where they come up to you and start touching you and rubbing you. That's the full story. But that's not in any archaeology textbook.
No, it's so art-based.
That's part of the story. The fact that they worked as a tribe, and today we do not. The biggest problem we have today is we have no tribal inspiration for our living. So people can live in cities right now and never speak to their neighbour and not even know what they look like. And people now can die inside their house, and for weeks nobody knows they're gone.
Yeah,
that's not living.
Yeah, I was a funeral director for 14 years, and we would often have to go to places, and they've been there for a week or two in a sunroom in the summer. So because nobody knew, and it was only that after a few days, there's obviously a bit of a smell, but otherwise people wouldn't know.
But Carrie-Anne, in your situation, if somebody in that tribe died, within minutes, the whole tribe would be grieving, wouldn't they? They would know straight away. But
it's so fascinating. They don't have definitions on different illnesses. So you're sick, or what have you got? Or they're just sick. So either you survive that sickness, and they do all the natural things, coconut water, lay on the earth. I mean, they haven't forgotten the magic and the natural healing. But also, too, they're not fearful of death, because if they're tired, because they've got a more manual lifestyle than we do. So if they're tired, fatigue is one of their reasons for, I might just lay down today and cross over, because they've got this trust that they're going back to the all, to the ethers, to the spirit. And so they're fascinating, but absolutely. And there's the celebrations even of the death. So there's the mourning and the celebration of the death. It's the twofold path really within everything. And I want to point out that if anyone's going to the tourist areas of Vanuatu, you're not going to see this. Where I live we don't even have shops where I live. And I do have solar, which doesn't work all the time. So I really have to rough it sometimes and face what it's like. Even one of the times I was there, the water pump stopped working. So you realize, okay, you're actually a queen in your own home if you've got running water, guys. Like, don't forget the original ways. Don't forget how to live from the earth. And, talk about the telepathy, no shop. So you do rely on, there's food growing all over the island. It's a jungle, and you grow your own food and your own veggies, and there's a town close by. You can come in from the flight, grab some food at their local store, and then come over in the banana boat to the island where I am. But there is also a local market, and I didn't make the local market last time I slept in. And I was saying telepathically in my mind, long time psychic. So for me, doing telepathy with people is not unusual. But I was saying to the beautiful lady up the road, is a friend of mine, a local Indigenous Ni Vanuatu lady. I got up late. I know you need to pack up. It'll get hot. Just pack up. I'm not going to make it. And then within maybe 45 minutes, her and her daughter walked down, because they don't have cars. She had to carry everything. Walked down with like all these bags of produce for me. And she said, I knew you were saying to me you're not going to make it.
That really is, Carrie-Anne. What you've just told us now is the fundamental difference between Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people.
Yeah.
That they can communicate in ways that we've lost the art of communication. They knew when you put that thought out, they picked it up. So it's interesting, because when you read Elkin's book, he talks time after time about telepathic communication. And then I've got to give the guy credit. He's the only archaeologist in Australia that wrote a book about, well, we've done it too, of course, so there's two of us, wrote a book about original magic. My argument is this: if you don't write about original magic, you are doing a very, very superficial investigation into original culture. You're doing the 101. You're doing what a child will be taught when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The very first dreaming story. And you would be given the simplest meaning. That is what the archaeologists deal with. They never walk past the very, very simple, hands-on, there it is. Who's that?
That's Elkin.
Oh, there's Elkin. A picture of Elkin. Okay, looks pretty straight, but give him credit where it was due. He acknowledged, and he made it clear. He said these people are not charlatans. They're not tricksters. They're highly respected in their tribe. They're honoured in their tribe, and that they are a fundamental part of what makes that tribe work. And when you take out the clever fellas and the weirds from the tribe, it creates an imbalance that can never be fixed up. And when people talk about the fact, what is going wrong with original culture and why can't it get back together, you stole the magic off them. You stole the magic from them. And now there are original people today that don't even believe in that magic. They're now thinking like white fellas, and they call themselves original, but they think that sort of stuff that didn't really exist. Well, it did.
Yeah, and that is sad. And I know that there's ascension into, only Trudy talks about the fifth dimension, and it comforts me that she uses that terminology, because that's a term that's been hijacked by the awakened community, or those who are wanting to hide, come in and distort who's the savior at the moment, the big white hope, and we should follow that path. And, it's like, okay, this is, the golden age is coming according to some politicians. And it's like, no, they're using the same terms. They're mimicking the people who are speaking like an Auntie Trudy, that are original teachers, original people teaching us, reminding us, but that expanded consciousness, let's say, that the planet herself is moving into, because in a galactic cycle, every planet will complete its orbiting cycle and move into a more expanded frequency bandwidth. So are we staying with the planet? Are we a vibrational match to that field of consciousness? Or are we going to, wake up on a copycat third dimensional planet? And I always say nothing's right or wrong. This is not meant to induce fear in anyone. This is just a natural cycle of anyone's consciousness journey, because you don't actually want to be in fifth dimensional consciousness if you're not ready for it. It's going to fry your literal circuitry, your meridian system, your chakra system, your auric system will be fried by it. So, slowly. The thing I love about the original people, particularly in Vanuatu, and obviously here, the ones that have kept the storytelling alive and have remained connected, is everything slowly. Evolution or devolution is guaranteed based on your personal actions. And so that's all you've got to be in command of. You really are here on your own consciousness journey within, that macrocosmic perspective. So, but this beautiful lady, she was like, mine to mine. She knew. She bought me all the produce. And I've also heard, Steve, from others about the magic and why even in Vanuatu they had to shut the magic down because of the voodoo. So what happens, of course, is they start using the magic against each other. Yes. But the stories are very real, and it wasn't that long ago that you could get the feather of a bird and you could fly. You didn't have to get the boat. You could fly from one island to the other with the feather of the bird. And I thought, okay, so they fly as a human. And then I got deeper into the storytelling. No, they shapeshift into the bird, they fly as the bird, and they shapeshift back to the human. And so what they've taught me is that shapeshifting is a natural part of our consciousness journey. And we can even do it in this dimension. We've just forgotten and we've misused the magic. And so, sort of rounding this off, what Auntie Trudy's saying, as we move into this fifth dimensional consciousness, we can't be in that fifth dimensional consciousness unless we've reawakened our magic, and unless we've learned how to stabilize within that magic, balance within that magic, not use it. I think this is what happened at the end of Atlantis, Evan. This is my memories anyway. We could throw like lightning bolts. We were using it against each other instead of in service to the all. And I would suggest this is where we're coming to again now in terms of our consciousness journey, and what we're going to do. Are we going to use it against each other, or are we going to get on board and go, okay, we've got differences. I don't necessarily agree with everything that you're saying, but can we find where we do have something in common and come from this heart-based perspective and come from that true, that tribal way that you were talking about, Steve, where we just move as one. So we'll see.
Brendan's got a comment there. This creek you put in Vanuatu, and you put a stone in there, and it comes out with this stone covering, a calcium covering. Have you heard of that?
No, Brendan, I haven't. Fascinating.
Yeah, it's just put it up there, and he said there's a covering.
You put things in there, yeah.
So there's got to be something in the water.
Wow. Well, there's a tank around there as well. Yeah. So anyone who loves the South Pacific, which I do, and that Lemurian culture, which is obviously here in Australia as well. And I'm in Queensland and have lived north, like really far north Queensland. So that's my absolute love, all of that culture. When you're in the South Pacific on these remote islands, you're aware like cyclones could be coming at any time. Volcanoes are going off all the time under the water. Vanuatu is the place, if you study the earthquake system, it's constantly rippling. So to me, it's the heart portal of Lemuria. It's deep in there in Middle Earth. To that end, I've got a funny story, Steve, which involves your beautiful wife. So I was having a series, being a psychic, I was having a series of meditations where I felt like I was being called in by the spokesperson of Middle Earth. in my meditation, like an astral journey. And the spokesperson of Middle Earth is like, come to these meetings. We've got work to do. This kept going on and on and on. And then I realized that person was you, Steve. And I said to your beautiful wife, I said, I think Steve's the spokesperson of Middle Earth. And she said, yes, he is. And he knows he is as well. I said, okay, he knows who he is. So this was all going on energetically. And I think it's why we're all meant to work together, because it's been happening in the unseen realms, drawing us in. Middle Earth, surface Earth, old Lemuria, old Atlantis, all cycling together to the end of this Earth civilization, learning our lessons, transmuting what we've all done in our previous cycles that was, in opposition to each other, not working for the all. And then coming together and finding our way through into this upgraded, expanded dimension. So, Steve, we know who you are. The cat's out of the bag. It's a big title you've got.
Well, I won't be. I'm not sure we'll be doing a lot of Middle Earth in our course, but we will be mentioning it, obviously, because the rings do become part of the course. That's a given. Yeah, I'm not so sure about me being in control or running anything. I have enough trouble running my own head. I get lost enough there.
I said to Del, I said, you're a fairy.
Carrie-Anne with Mesref, but I'm sure the answer is you had a wild dream. I can't imagine. Then again, yeah.
We know who you are, Steve. Anyway, Del, she confirmed it, and I said, and you're a fairy, aren't you? I said, you're the queen of the fairies, and she said, yeah, I think I am. we know who you really are.
I'll let her know about that one, but yeah. But look, in the meantime, this was your idea, and I think it's a great idea. Mainly because if people do our course, you'll be doing something different. It's being sanctioned by the elders. The courses that are in New England, Sydney, wherever they are, wherever those courses are, the people that are doing those courses at the moment have not gone to the elders for every site first to check to see if it's correct, which is what we have to do. I've got to make the point too, that they have a lot of degrees, these people. We don't, but we have ceremony. And I'm going to make the point now. The reason why we've seen the sites we've seen, we've been to the places we've seen, is because we did ceremony. And the elders contacted us because they knew I was working with Kano, Evan was working with Kano, we were working with Auntie Bev, working with Uncle Marbach, we were working with all these different elders, and it got around. And they trusted us. And when we go on site, we have a rule. And the rule is this: whatever we write, we give to you. You can change it, you can tear it up, you can add, you can subtract. Whatever you want to do, you can, because it's your site.
And that's part of what we want to train people to do.
Yeah,
too.
We would train them to do it the same way. The original people want to share their culture, but you've got to remember, they've tried to do that many times, and I'll give you a great example. A mob up in the top end kept telling the archaeologists there were Asians living here for thousands of years, and they kept saying no, they weren't. And then we found the seal. Guess who was right? They were right, and the other mob were wrong. And today we just read out a paper to you that's a joke. You can make fun of it because it's easy to make fun of. Its contradictions are everywhere. It is illogical, it's selective, it's inferential, and yet it's claimed to be a fact. And they're facts. If you look at the story, 20,000 years, 40,000 years, 60,000 years, 120,000 years, 150,000 years, and then the blackfellas will tell you this: we were here to begin with. There's no number. Why are you giving us a number? We're here. And of course, the paper did say in one sentence, oh, we respect their stupidity. It's what they said. They said, we've done the best science, but we acknowledge and respect the fact that these guys are wrong. And that's how they speak to original people. And why is it the elders trust us? We do it the other way. We go to them, tell me the answer. That's how we start. What is the answer? And they tell us the answer. And our job is to make up questions. But it's not hard to make a question up when you know what the answer is. The other mob, they come in and they pick their answer. And that's what this paper said. We chose the answer we wanted. And we found the things that suited what we wanted. We don't do it that way.
And it's also looking for signs as well. Like when we were last down at Carrie-Anne with Nick filming, this old magpie came to visit us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wasn't that weird?
Yeah.
We filmed it. We went to a site there, and this old magpie, I'd never seen a magpie like it before in my life. It just started running around between us, didn't it?
Yeah, hopped in your bag.
Hopped on the bag, and it was running around this site, telling them, because we had discovered a site we hadn't seen before, hadn't we?
Yeah.
And it was gardening and fair income. I mean, the magpie was just running around us like I've known you guys for years, wasn't it?
And then you pulled out artifacts.
Yeah, I pulled out some rocks and it come up and played with them. And this, I had it in my hand, and this is a wild mag, and it doesn't look like any magpie we've seen, does it?
No, it doesn't. And look, I fed it in the end, like at the very end as a thank you.
Yeah.
And then, but that was more of an afterthought. It was there to check us out. To look at our artifacts.
Look at the artifacts.
And then stayed around as we did our thing. It went back in the tree to watch us. Like it was there, and you know.
And it wasn't like any magpie we've ever seen.
And you got to keep in mind we're in the middle of nowhere too. It's not like we're in someone's backyard where it's probably used to people. Like,
no, we're 2 k's from a house.
Yeah. Well, so the avians. If you look at the galactic perspective as a psychic, the avians have really ramped up at the moment. The avians have been said, like even in the Orion Wars, Lyran Wars, they will always come in over the top and support these lower dimensions to upgrade. So the avians are featuring very highly at the moment. You're probably interacting with a master, you know, that's coming in they come in and use the eyes of the bird. This is all the mystical ways of how the birds can work and who's coming in through the vessels and doing what they need to do. So no doubt
we filmed it, didn't we?
We did film.
We did film that, and we're going to talk about that because luckily that was filmed. And what are we going to do is when this goes up, and Nick is trying to get it up, we're going to make that a very important point that there is a guardian of these sites, and this bird is the guardian. And you might think to yourself, but how can it be? Well, just watch what it did. First of all, you're going to say, never seen a bird like that before in my life. And that's true because we've never seen one like it. It's a magpie. But the things it was doing, we've never met it before. Man, it was just, it was welcoming us for sure. Then it wanted to look at the grass.
Steve. Chris and I are going through the same thing. A lot of birds. We've had one particular lark. He keeps coming inside. The birds just are at an extra level of friendliness on our property and seem to be like beaming out information to us. Yeah. And then I'm getting a lot of telepathy from our dog, just turned 16, which in itself is mastery, you know, you've met him, like he's an old boy, but he's still cruising and he is just dispensing all of this wisdom, almost like he's got to get it out before he crosses over. So I do feel the animal telepathy is ramping up at the moment because as we come back online with the magic, they haven't gone offline. We've got to remember that in lower dimensions for humans, this is my view of it, we have the spiritual amnesia or the soul amnesia, whereas the animals and the nature don't. And so once you tune back in, you realize there was an energetic communication system that was there all along. We just weren't tuning into it. And once you start to trust what you receive telepathically from nature and the animals, well, things are going to go really to the next level because they're the true guides. And these masters that will come through, shapeshift into birds, rock up like magpies and, you know, give you all this information. It's just, I mean, it's so exciting, really.
It is. And
magic. This is what we've been talking about is coming and it's here now.
Yeah, well, the important part of this I want to share with people is when we go on site, we look for and expect and always get animal sign. We expect it, and it always comes. Now, for us, if we got no animal sign there all day, I would be concerned. I probably wouldn't write about the site because I wasn't given the right to do so. Now, An archaeologist would say, that's ridiculous. And I would say to them, well, you don't understand the culture, because every sacred site is guarded. Now, whether it's guarded, you might see a lizard running past, because, you know, Carrie-Anne, it's the lizards all the time. And sometimes we get the black cockatoos there. Yeah, that happens a lot. I expect to see animal sign, because I want that, because that means they're watching us.
Yeah, we saw echidnas. And
we always expect something. If we get nothing, I would then be very worried. Now, I can tell you, I cannot remember a time when we've been on country when we haven't had animal sign. Now, that would be part of what we'd be teaching in our course. Look for that sign, because without that sign, what have you not done correctly? And of course, we also will explain to people, if they go on the site the way we go on the site, you have to do ceremony. You have to do ceremony. You have to do it properly, and that will be explained. Now, if you go to university, they wouldn't tell you you've got to do ceremony. They just tell you, go and get funding, write out your preliminary paper, tell us what you want, tell us what the answer is, and we'll give you some funding, and then you go onto that site and you tell them what you're doing. That's not how we work. We do it differently. We never go on site until they ring us first. I've never been on country unless an elder contacted me first and gave me permission to come onto country. That's the way we work. So that's what we want to teach people. How do you contact the original people? We've got a friend of ours called Binner, who's more in contact with original people than I am. And he's my go-to person when I'm not sure what to do. He's written a book about how to make contact. Well, it's a great little book. Only costs $10. That's one of our courses, how to make contact. Because you've got to remember, original people at one stage were very, very unsure of whitefellas about their motives. They are less unsure now. There it is. There's been this book called The Proper Way, A Guide to Cultural Protocols. And if anyone could write this book in Australia that's not original, that could write a book like that, it's Binner. There's nobody else that would get that right. So we'll be giving you information there that you will not get in a university, but it's the truth.
Yeah, and the book I'm working on at the moment is got 8 sections. You've got archaeology and human origins, and archaeology, and then stuff about previous visitors coming to Australia. But then there's stuff about stones, stuff about metaphysical stuff about magic, and then stuff about Gnosticism. So the idea is to have a broad, you don't cut bits out because it doesn't fit in. No, you look at everything.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And
such
with your
unique opportunity for everyone. And because of my business, we've just ticked over 27 years. We used to do in-person trainings 20 years, I suppose. But at some point, within that, we crossed over to online, and we were in the online arena well ahead of the curve. And so we've got a university level kind of system that we use. So for anyone that's going to do the course with Steve and Evan, know that it's a very user-friendly, very professional setup. It's going to be so easy for yourself as the trainee to make your way through the course and to do it properly and to have all the support. You'll have Steve and Evan that will be marking assignments and giving you feedback and commentary, and I'll be there in the admin, or myself or Carolina, who works with me in the admin. We don't drop the ball. This is my life passion, my life purpose, my life mission. So we'll be there as well, just to support anyone that wants to go on this journey. And just the unique opportunities to go on country, to go onto some of these archaeological sites. You explained to me, Steve, it won't necessarily be easy when you go onto site. It's got to be a little bit, quote unquote rough, because that's what it's about, connecting to the earth. So it's just terribly exciting. And, for you guys, it's just so much work. Like, I know I created our first healers, and we started with a healers course and our yoga teacher training course many, many years ago, but I would just be up all night writing notes, and it's just like the amount of work that goes into these courses is just, it's intense. But I also know for you guys, it's your life work and passion and mission. And so all of the work that you've done up to this point, you can then funnel it into this presentation for everyone.
That's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing, putting it all in there. I can tell you that I was involved in writing the AB Studies course for New South Wales Department of Education. And I wrote up two parts of the course there.
And they burnt the books on you, didn't they, Steve, at one point? They burnt some of the books. Were they the books that...
There's been two of those, and we'll talk about that when we do in the course. Yes, they did. They, first of all, we did a full course with Sydney Uni, a fairly reasonable university. And what we were going to do is every teacher that taught AB Studies was going to do a course. And we helped write the course up. I did 2 units, one on traditional law and one on history up until the referendum in 1965. I did those 2 sections there, and then basically wrote out the questions. So for me, doing this is just a flow on of what I did for the Department of Education. But of course, the Department of Education, after we wrote the course up, we got linked in with Sydney Uni, and everything was ready to go. Then the change of government took place, and they destroyed the whole thing. So we're not doing that. And then it came again, another one. We did something again, and the same thing happened. And then I resigned from teaching. So I
so important.
Sorry?
It's so important you're sharing this, because the public needs to know what's been going on, that there's been attempts for these studies to be out there, and the government's burning the books in Australia. This is...
No, it wasn't burning as such. What happened was, towards the end of it, there was a book called basically The Myth of Terra Nullius, and it was about the fact that Captain Phillip and Cook were liars, and they had proof. And what they did was they got all the journals written by Watkin, Tench, Collins, you name them, and who had also written about events that happened. And what they did was they took Philip's version of what happened, then compared to others. And what we found on every occasion, without exception, Philip lied about everything. And the point being that he had to lie. You see, because they were creating a story now about the fact that the original people were terra nullius. Now, there are 3 ways. There were 3 maritime laws of conquest. Terra nullius isn't in it. The British made that up. It was never used before, and it was never used since. And what it said was the people here were so unworthy and so primitive, they had to be guided to the promised land, so to speak. And therefore, everything they did was wrong, and they lost all legal rights to everything. Now, the problem being, at the very start, there was a war in Australia. And people don't even know that. And it was hidden. But what happened was these people found all the documents, and it basically says that Philip is an out-and-out liar because he had to be. He had to write back certain things and couldn't write back the truth. And you'll go through it time after time, and I'll finish up with this. I'll give you 2 very good examples. Number 1, in Captain Cook's journal, one of the very few times he told the truth was when he raised the flag. On the day he raised the flag, he wrote in his journal, we saw a group of original people walk down the hill. One carried a bow and a bundle of arrows. Bows and arrows. There is not one school in Australia that teaches the fact that the original people had bows and arrows, even though it's in Cook's journal. Why? Why isn't it there? Everything else in Cook's journal has been accepted, and he said it's the first one we have seen. And he spoke about the fact that all of the people on the boat, including Banks, saw this guy with a bundle of arrows. Jack Davis wrote a poem that finishes like this. Oh, why didn't my people invent the bow and arrow? They did, but we don't know that anymore. And my point being that if you don't even know that, and you think they didn't make the bow and arrow and they did, what do you actually know about their culture? Because every time they found something that didn't tick off unworthy, ignorant, and primitive, had to be ignored. And that's what's happened.
I saw you, Bruce Pascal, talking about the agriculture.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear about
no.
They don't want to hear about that there were villages and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
sorts of
No.
activity going on because it
And
doesn't
our
get to
rocks have got technology that you'd be flat out reaching today. And they all know about it, but they will not talk about it. And there's a rule in Australia, you are not allowed to discuss our work. And if you do, you put it up on a website. What happens to you, Evan?
get banned.
You get banned. That's the
Therefore,
standard
you don't
rule in
get
Australia.
contracts, you don't get jobs.
So that's how they work in Australia. Anything we say is banned before they look at it. And that, to me, is the worst form of science there is. They don't do science, they do prejudice. But that course, everything in that course is based on what the elders told us and what we know to be fact. And we
I'm just so honoured, Steve, to be able to host this training.
Well,
and
you were the right choice.
Yeah.
You were the
Bring
right
the magic
choice.
back, baby.
You were the right choice. So it doesn't matter. It's not an honour. You were the right choice to do it. And we're happy to do it. I'm in the final stages now. We've written the course up and I'm now writing up different ways of doing assessment. And some of the assessment, I want to be like we're doing this now. I want face-to-face stuff, and we're going to factor that in. We want time where people can actually talk to us face-to-face, not just like texting and stuff, because I've always found the best teaching is when you're talking to someone and they can explain what they're trying to look for. So we're going to do that. That'll be included in it too. And what we'll try and teach people is what the original people know is their truth, not what the white fellas told them to believe. And I read out one of the papers to you today. Their basis is based around preferences and what suits them. The original people are the oldest culture on the planet. Whatever date you want to give them, I would give them 7 and 8 figures. But if you want to give them 6 or 3, it doesn't matter. It's the oldest. And therefore, because it's the oldest, it knows more about culture, nor about humanity than any other culture. And that's what we're teaching. And if you find out the truth, it's not what's in the textbooks. The textbooks are not telling the truth. They're telling an inference. They're telling you a suggestion. They're telling you what they want you to hear. So that's what we're doing.
And of course, there's a documentary that's coming out that we're creating, which will, help people to understand what this storytelling is about, and to draw them towards the course if they want to either learn more for their own self-interest, or if they want to actually get that certification. And what's the title, Evan, would you say, of the certification? Are we going to call it like an archaeologist? What shall we call it?
Yeah, no, I've been brainstorming on that one. I've always liked alternative archaeology, but holistic, like. I have spent the last 2 days thinking on that one.
I think the word old way should be in it.
Old way.
I use that a lot.
Old way archaeology.
Yeah, because there's 2 types of original culture is broken up into 2 groups: old way, new way, and they're not working. They're not gelling well together, are they? No, old way and new way. We want to talk about old way. We want to talk about the truth of old way. And see, a lot of people look at old and say, well, it's not modern, and therefore I'm not interested in it. No, this is different.
The other thing to keep in mind is origin, right?
Yeah.
It's just old way, new way together.
Well, it's actually black full of white green. Yeah, black full of white full of green. We'll work out something for it.
Get something nice and catchy, I think.
And we'll certainly
do
that.
It probably sound like we're always having a go at the white skin, But look, my great grandmother is Indian, so which is my whole yoga path, and going into those, the magic of yoga it's just incredible. That's been my whole life. But living in Australia, and I went to school with original people, and they've always been my friends. And as I say, live with the Vanuatu people part time, mainly to go even further, quote unquote, back in time. So, but we look at the white skin, God love us all, but it's that wanting to address the Wetiko, the mind virus that has infected so many, where might is right, more is better. All of these things that actually ultimately destroy the earth and disconnect us from each other, and then funnel the consciousness we're seeing how AI is taking over really as spiritual gnosis for many people. Now people asking their AI for spiritual wisdom instead of going and sitting under that tree and receiving it through whether it's the magpie visiting you or the tree. Yeah. There's faces in the trees. People aren't seeing it. They're not talking to it. They think they're crazy, but in fact, the other way is crazier. So you got to pick your crazy, really.
I can tell you now, you'll get more wisdom from the magpie you'll get from any AI device.
Yeah.
In that 10 minutes we're with the magpie, we learnt a lot more than anything I'm going to get from any computer. No, they're wrong. Yeah. The old ways are still the right ways. I mean, I'm not saying for 1 minute we go out and live in the bush and we chuck away that. We're not talking about throwing away all the things that make life bearable and comfortable. Yeah. No one's talking about that. And it's not a color thing, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to make this point. It is not a color thing. When I was given ceremony, they thought I was white. I want to make that point. They didn't know I was black, and I didn't bring that up for quite some time until basically I had to get a test to prove it. But many people I dealt with, many elders I dealt with, we never spoke about what I was black or white. That wasn't how I was judged. And I want to make that point. The same way with Binner. He's got such a fantastic relationship with all blackfellas, and he's Russian. It's got nothing to do with color. There are blackfellas today that are trying to destroy old way culture, aren't there even? There are lands councils doing that at the moment. It is not a color thing. And people have got to understand that. Our main elder, Kano, spoke about blackfella, whitefella dreaming. We have some blackfellas that hate us because we're sharing information that they feel should stay just with blackfellas. We're not part of that. We're part of Wirrichin. Blackfella, whitefella, purple fella. I don't care about the color. You don't get judged on your color. You get judged. And Kano said this to us often, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said, spirit knows no color. When you pass on, you're not black, you're not white, you're soul. And they look at your soul and determine whether you've done the right thing. It's got nothing to do with color. Yeah. So no, our course is called Wirrichin, and that'll be in there somewhere. It's for black fellas, for white fellas, for any color. What we're trying to share is what we believe is the best culture that ever existed. And make the point, ladies and gentlemen, white fellas were meant to come to Australia. The black fellas will tell you that, the ones that know. They were meant to come here. It's not a curse, it's a blessing. We're supposed to be, this country, Australia, is supposed to be the meeting point of all races. And they're all here now. We waited for the Africans to come, and now they're part of our culture now. Now we can change. We are the country that can have every race here, and we'll do it better than anyone else. We won't fall into the warfare, the hatred that other cultures, mind you, it's around the edges. People are nipping at it at the moment, but I know we'll stay strong. This is supposed to be the place where all the cultures meet and work together. That's what this is about. This is what the course is about too. And that's what we'll be giving people.
Wow. We just did telepathy, Evan. I was going to say, can you put up that picture? I saw you put it up the other day, and then you put it up. That picture with the cockatoos is just magic. Yeah. I had to save that one myself, so it's all there. Steve, that's just so beautifully said, and that's what we've got to look forward to. And I received a code about Atlantis and Lemuria, and it's just archetypal energy. I mean, you guys know it from an archaeological perspective and a scientific perspective, but I receive more from a psychic perspective and downloads and visions, and this is the way I get information. But I was shown that it'll be 80% Lemurian code because that was our original civilization, and the 80% is about the watery element because the earth is 80% water. Our physical structure is 80% water. We are emotional by nature. We are heart-based by nature. The 20% Atlantean energy is going to come in, and it's exactly what you said, Steve, that we're still going to have some comfort. So life is great. There was a reason for that Atlantean civilization that wanted to build and build and build because man has its own prowess. And yet it's gone so polarized, so extreme that we're having to draw it back. So this is what my guide said. We're going to take 20% of that quote unquote Atlantean man can build luxury. And the animals have even told me, hey, they like that. They want that. They like living inside. They like coming and hanging out with the humans and laying by the fire if it's cold. And so it's all together. And there's nothing wrong with that part of man being able to build luxury or having certain machinery, I suppose, that is functional and can serve us to remain on the planet in a state of a certain amount of ease. Because like I was saying, when I'm in Vanuatu and everything, the solar goes down, the water goes down.
It's rough.
That's why you need your tribe. That's why you need each other. And they, to that end, Steve, I wanted to tell you, they won't give up their fire. That's very interesting. And a lot of them could have electricity or at least solar. And some do. I'm not going to say generally, but where I live, no, they love their fire. But food tastes better cooked on the fire. They love sitting around the fire. They can sing around the fire. It's a meeting place, and the Nakamal around the fire. The fire is everything. You take that fire away from these original people, it's basically like taking their heart away. So the fire is everything.
Away. Yeah, you're taking their palm away. They sit around the fire and make decisions. They don't sit around the fire and not make decisions. When everyone's together, sitting together, that's when things happen. And yeah, that's tribal, and that's part of the way things should be. You're right. Sitting around a fire in a circle, not with someone at the head of the table, but everyone equal. Yeah, you're right. It's the way that it is done. Yep. Right.
So I know you got another guest. So shall we show the epic trailer?
We'll show the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me do that now, and then I'll grab our other guests. So yeah. All right. I'll get that up.
All right.
Awesome.
That's good. Very professional.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you very soon, Carrie-Anne, and we'll bring in Tara and Manu.
Thank you so much, Carrie-Anne.
Thanks for having me on. Much love to everyone in the chat too. Beautiful comments.
Okay. I hear that.
Hello.
Hello. Put the video in it.
And then I see your wonderful presentation there too. So I'll
do an intro.
Yes.
Okay, look, I'll do a very quick intro. Tara and Manu, who are from the other side of Australia, called West Australia.
So it's quite early over there, isn't it?
Yeah.
8 o'clock.
Okay, now look, very quickly, I'll just introduce you guys first. Now, we met these guys. We've met them a few times, haven't we? Yeah. And quite recently, when Dr. Semir came to Australia, we got to sort of get together a fair bit. And Dr. Semir kindly invited us across to the Bosnian pyramid for the next solstice. And then we spoke to Tara and Manu, and they take sort of like a bus tour, isn't it? And take them all around the whole area, spend a week there, and then look at all the different sites there, and get to look at a beautiful place we've never been to, but we've heard so much about. And they've been doing this for quite some time. They are experts in their trade. And what they want to do today is to give you a little sort of a brief tour of what they're going to take, where they're going to take you, how they're going to get you there, and what they're offering. And to me, I just want to say one thing about this. They're offering something that I believe is unique. You've got to understand that the pyramid of Bosnia is 3 times the one at Giza. That's the first thing, which is very important. Secondly, it's still functioning. Maybe it's just running on idle at the moment, but we do know that they've had scientists on the top, the same scientists who worked on the pyramids in Egypt and found what was underneath. And they found there's an energy coming through the center, like a spiral, like DNA, that's still working. The water underneath this pyramid has got the highest negative ionization of any water anywhere on the planet. And hundreds of thousands of people go to that site each year for healing. It is unique. It's unique. You've got to remember, people go to the Giza site and it's wonderful there, but they don't actually get to this water, or there's a rock there that people put their hands on. This pyramid is alive. The other ones are artifacts. This is not an artifact. It's an entity that's still functioning. And I think maybe the day will come when it might even spring back to life. I don't know. I'm only guessing on that. But if anyone would know that, it'd be Dr. Semir and these guys, wouldn't it?
Yep.
They know more about it than anyone else. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give them the floor for the next half hour or 40 minutes, whatever, before Leah and I do some work. And I've got to go and run off some questions in a sec because I don't have. But in the meantime, we're going to leave you in the capable hands of Tara and Manu, and they're going to tell you about a trip that once you've been on it, you'll never forget it. And they're the best trips of all, because you can do it time after time after time in your head. Whenever you go to bed at night, you can go back and take in stuff you did while you were there. It's unique, it's unusual, and it's like going back to the past and to the future at the same time. It couldn't be better. So over to these 2 wonderful human beings who are living over on the western side of Australia, and they're going to tell you about what they'd love you to get involved and become part of. Yes, look at that one. Go to the water. The water holds, what this gentleman say, Nish?
The water holds the memory in our set.
Yeah, that's an original man from Gombantua. That must be down near Coffs Harbour somewhere, that mob.
We still want to come visit you. I haven't forgotten your invitation.
Which one? This?
Yes.
Him?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not far away. We can do that one. Yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah, go to the water and sit with it. That's what people are doing, and it works. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Oops.
Oh, hang on.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
Balkan introduction.
Welcome introduction.
I can see.
So first, thank you so much for invitation, and big hello from Margaret River, beautiful Margaret River, south of Perth, southwestern Australia. Beautiful time right now, summer but not hot, kind of fresh. What I would like to start with is this year biggest discovery at Bosnian pyramids, and that is the fact that there is 5 pyramids, 6 actually, and some other structures, and it turned out they are aligned in sacred geometry in Fibonacci sequence. And not just that, we are aware of Seven Sisters story and how important it is in Australia. It turned out that pyramids, the Valley of Pyramids, is actually aligned with Pleiades. And deep research was done, and it turned out that Pleiades are actually aligned, the 7 stars that we can see are actually aligned in Fibonacci also. So basically, pyramids in Bosnia mirroring Pleiades, which is incredible news for me. And picking up those little pieces one by one, I think this information is the reason why I'm in Australia, somehow to connect those 2 beautiful cultures of original people in Australia and knowledge here and land here, and of ones in Balkans. because Slavic nations, we also hold very deep and very forbidden knowledge in so many ways. So that's it. For beginning, would you like to?
Yeah, I will also only add about Pleiades system, because this was really something that it was really amazing when we were on the celebration and solstice. This was actually the news. The Dr. Sam just discovered this. So it's one thing that it calls Monte Carlo simulation. So what they do, they put all the star systems in the sky that we can see in the computer, and computer run 24/7 to try to match how many matches there are. So for example, pyramids in Giza, you know, probably they are matched with Orion belt, yeah, with these 3 stars. But Monte Carlo simulation says that there are 2,000 different star systems that could be the same, but they just decided it is Orion. But in case of Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids, after 24/7 doing all this, the computer find only one match with the pyramids in the Bosnian pyramids, and this was Pleiades. So it's undeniable that this is connection. The builders knew, and they built in the same position how the Pleiades are. So just that for starters.
So I think it's not a coincidence that Stephen, Ivan, and Leah are coming with us this year. I think some mind-blowing stuff will happen on that conference that's happening on Solstice. So our tour, it's 23 days long. We will tell later a bit about whole itinerary and whole trip, but the grand finale is at Bosnian pyramids, where in solstice, summer solstice time, there is a conference held every year. And lots of amazing people it's coming. And this year, Dr. Semir Osmanagich invited Steve and Ivan to as a guest speakers, and some other people. I think the conference this year, for some reason, I done them before, but this one, I think for some reason, it's like moving into another. If we talk frequencies and stuff, which we can't, not acknowledge when we talk about pyramids, I think it's entering into another octave, in another, how to call it?
Almost timeline.
Into another story, which is, I think, better than this one we live now. Yeah, would you like to add something?
Yeah, we can maybe go with the program a little bit, and then that we can explain people. So let's see. So okay.
So how it goes? The tour starts on 31st of May. We pick you up at Nikola Tesla Airport in Belgrade, and we spend one night in beautiful, very vibrant city of Belgrade, which is capital of Serbia. There is, next morning, we will go to visit as an entering point, Tesla Museum, Nikola Tesla. As you might know, he is Orthodox Serbian. He was Orthodox Serbian, born in what now is Croatia. So he's our guy. And we are very proud of him. And he just motivates us to research deeper and deeper into his work, because I think he holds, among other amazing people and cultures, like original people in Australia, he holds some keys. He's offering us some keys, how to unlock this next level of existence, how to unlock what you guys were talking about before, intuition, communication. I really like him, and I try to research his work, but I'm more focused on mystical, esoterical part of him. I'm really fascinated how he could connect to source in such a precise, detailed way that he would be able to imagine in his mind whole machine and how every detail, how everything will work. That's next level connection. And that's something I feel also original people might have once upon a time.
Yeah.
That connection with source, because now we are mostly connected on, you know, internet and this and that. It's like kind of low quality of information, but this is something else. And I think he really plays big role in the world that is happening now. And I'm getting to believe that he still, from somewhere, he influences us, he talks to us, he creates his little tribe of people who try to, you know, bring forward his work. So yeah, we are humble and honored with his presence. There is also a beautiful statue of him in a park near pyramids, near tunnels. There's a place.
Park Raune.
Yeah, in Park Raune. Yeah, so he kind of, he's present, and also synchronicities. When we are on a tour, it's like when we again and again, it's something else. It's like you entering different timeline. It's like you entering a wormhole, and the synchronicity that's happening in protection. I mean, really humbly, just pray for, be, you know, grateful and pray for more of that. People witness that, we experience that again and again as we go. Weather changes.
And this, if I can add, maybe it's a reason about that, because what we did, we designed actually whole tour. It's follow actually the ley lines, like, and sacred places. So it's not just a random stuff. So this is probably why its influence of, on top, of course, is Finnish Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. But we also have many different places where the energies are very strong, even measurable. So it's scientific also, not just mystical. So it's all together. So this is probably why all these synchronicities, everything happens, because it's designed by this. We go, we travel. We'll explain to you later how we go on the purpose, and we finish then at the end on solstice, where the energies are stronger on the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun.
Yeah. So it seems like again and again that it's meant to be, and people that are meant to be, they're going to be there. And one thing about Balkans is that old knowledge is much more preserved as here. In
and
villages
guarded.
and stuff, it's very common. People still know, people use old ways. As Stephen and Evan beautifully called them, they still use them. And what I wanted to say, I forgot. There was something else.
That they preserve knowledge, which is true, and they're also guarding it.
Yeah,
so
yes.
they are very protective to it. They don't share everywhere.
And another thing would be, because Balkans are positioned kind of strategically in the middle of East and West, and as we can see, tension in between two different cultures, or cultures that are more to East and West, is rising. And what I think Eastern part of the world holds a lot of that old knowledge, and
very old
Western
like
society kind of moving away from it. So I think at some point Western society will have to accept to bring in other cultures, to see into other cultures' knowledge, to preserve itself. So here we are. And I feel Balkans, because of our kind of neutral position in between, and because we done war recently. You will remember in 90s there was war in Bosnia, Croatia. We done war. It seems like the area might be fit for some stability right now, because you know politics, how it works. They try for years, they try to rise the conflict, but it seems like for now, again, very humbly and with prayer in my heart, that this continues. It's stable, it's peaceful. Some fluctuations obviously, but it seems when we spend time on Balkans, we talk to people are fed with, I'm not using the word. So
in this place is also what they do. They help you remember stuff. Things happen to people depending on the level of awareness. It's really incredible what we discover, that if we spend enough time on certain place with certain intention, but we cannot rush. This is what we do our tour, slowly and intentionally to certain places. They just remember stuff. It's cellular memory. Something stirs up, and these places support you to remember this life, which was, you know, different so many thousand years ago. Which, you know.
So it's not obviously just a tour. We do it slow. We take time to integrate on places, and every single place, as we will show later on, it's very special. It's sacred place, lots of water. We did not plan this. Yeah, this is welcome to Belgrade. Balkan people are very joyful. They like the good music. They like good food. They like friendship. They like, yeah. So this is first evening.
When you are a guest in the restaurant, it's like coming to the old grandma house. You know, they hold you like a king or queen, and you know, so it's really amazing experience. All Australians loved it.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say before, because Australia is so structured, especially in the cities. It's different in a country, but in a big city, it's so structured and everything is so predictable, you know, and 9-to-5 jobs and stuff. And Balkans still much more raw,
human.
Yeah,
a lot
not
of
that
heart.
synthesized. So people love that. Australians love that. And it can be a little bit of shock after return. It is also for us every single time when we land in Perth.
Huge
and,
difference.
you know, Perth can be sometimes a bit dry. Everything seems like a movie set. And people are telling us also, everything seems so squared and so while Balkans still also in architecture. Still lots of old architecture around, and places we go, our venues, accommodation where we sleep, lots of them are just natural build, old designs, local designs, houses with, you know, timber, some just restored, 100 years old. And it's just that vibe of old ways, as Stephen and Ivan would said. So, we start in Belgrade.
And
we
then
pick you up, dinner. Next morning, a bit of tour in beautiful Belgrade. There is also a big citadel and the city underneath, all under the old city, there are tunnels. We don't have time to do tour into that, but maybe if you come earlier, our recommendation is to come to Belgrade a couple of days earlier to explore a bit of yourself and also to get over jet lag, because that's going to make it much easier for you on a tour if you have a couple good nights of sleep. And then we continue towards our second home, which is this beautiful mountain. This is 3 hours drive. The mountain called Ertan, which is pyramidal shape mountain. Maybe Manu, if you tell more about it.
Yeah, here really it's a lot of stuff happening here. So scientifically speaking, they've been scientists here measure it also a lot of stuff, and it's the same spiral Nikola Tesla scalar wave measured here on the top, like in the Bosnian pyramid of the sun, and like pyramids in Giza and all around the world. So it's really, really interesting because this mountain is actually not built with blocks. It was naturally shaped, but somebody reshaped it a bit to have this form. So a lot of things going on. You know, we were talking with locals. They see UFOs, you know, and entities and stuff. We will go in this later when we came, but it's really, really special place.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people talk about structured water now.
Yeah.
So the village where we sleep, this is it. This is our friend's property.
Typical
so
Serbian
beautiful.
House.
There is sauna. There is beautiful architecture.
Yeah.
Very relaxing place.
A
Lots
pool.
of plants around, and pool. Yes, and yoga room. You can do yoga.
Everything. Yeah.
And the most interesting thing about this village where we sleep, there is just 100 meters. You walk in the morning to water source, main water source in village. What's in Balkans, one of the things is every village would have clean drinking water source, and somehow they knew which ones were the best ones.
But this water is special because came under this mountain.
That's what where I'm getting to. So it's a lot of measurement has been done and regular tests, how clean it is, chemical tests, biological tests. It's very, very pure, and it comes out of the rock. It's very special. And energy was measured on that water source. Some people say is as strong as on one of the strongest points around pyramid, because there are different, as we will discuss later, there are different healing spots with very potent energy, and it was measured. The interesting stuff about Bosnian pyramids and Mertan, there was so much scientific research done. So it's measured, and you can feel it as you step there. And one of the things for me that's indicator of the high, can we call it high, of intense, healthy energy is synchronicities. And around those places, like this, things just happening instantly, and connection with people is much easier, and you meet people. Beautiful. And some people saying the trip was life-changing. And so
then we have beautiful Turkish hammam.
That's the town just underneath pyramids, which is blessed with hot spring water. So this is beautiful old Turkish hammam. We go in, water is like 37 or something,
36,
really warm,
36.
And really healing water. So we would go there, we sing a little bit, we make voices, because all the structures you can see, it's done in sacred geometry, right? So acoustics, it's brilliant, and with all water there, it's just most beautiful experience.
So this is what we talk about now, about water. These are the crystals that they put out.
So it was not by intention, but it turned out when I finished first itinerary, it's so much about water. So it's basically one of the qualities of tour is sacred waters of Balkan. And Bosnia, I think it's second biggest basin of water in Europe. And we know about Australian water, right? About Australian water. You guys touched on, Stephen and Ivan and the guest lady touched on this before. Water plays such an important role right now. I have goosebumps. It seems like,
So typical breakfast.
Another thing about the Balkans is you won't get hungry. Australians, again, when they come to Balkans, they say, oh, here food still tastes like food. Tomato still has that rich tomato taste, The
rose has a smell.
Yes,
they say,
this is what they say. Yes, this is one of the most beautiful sentences for me. Here, roses still smell, because they do. And food, most places we go, obviously they are not big hotels, it's not corporations, it's little private venues and restaurants, and many people are friends. So food is done with such a care and love. You can feel it. The food breathes and really satisfies you, and really tasty. So
agreed.
That's your specialty.
So the funny thing here is this, that until scientists could measure stuff, they've been stories for years. For years, people are just talking. They are not educated, like in mysticism or something, but they practice certain things, and they saw things, they experienced things. And the very, very funny thing was this, that when we bought the land there just under the mountain, on the Intuition from Australia. And when we first time post-COVID could fly and came to our land, the neighbor came, of course, and said, "Oh, how are you? What are you doing? Blah, blah." And so we talk a little bit. And he said, "So you like this place?" I said, yeah, we're interested in Earthon. We did research. I said, "Okay, so what do you know about Earthon?" He said. I said, we know this. They do a lot of experiments, you see lights, UFOs, a lot of orbs, there are lightnings. Somebody says that there's a portal and stuff. And he's looking like a very serious guy. He said, "You know what happened to me? I'm 25, 30 years living here, I'm a hunter, and I'm hunting deer once. And I want to shoot the deer, and I saw the red eyes." And so, whoa, but serious guy, like not just somebody like this, very serious guy working in hospital. And we were just looking like this. And then I put the gun down and I saw, no, I should mistaken. And I check again and again, red eyes looking directly to me. And then he said he heard the thunderbolt from the mountain, and the energetics field roll down to the mountain, which is actually a lot of people manifested that, and there was some research too. And this rolling spheres down there go straight to the deer, and with explosion disappeared. And he was shit scared, put the gun down and running home for life. He said he will never forget this. So this is just one thing. We experienced this for 20 minutes when we came to that place. So there are tons of stories about that. Here, maybe if you can see here in this blue thing with the cross in the middle. So this was filmed under the mountain. It's one lake, and it's really, really special place. Our friend have a restaurant there. And somebody just filmed the lake, because it's nice. And this pop up. So there are many entities. So we try to experience if it's flare or something, we have a lot of flash flare from the photo, but it doesn't look like, and something is going on there. This invisible entity is becoming more and more visible, more and more visible.
Yeah.
So just a little bit. So we go forward. Yeah. Okay, this is also interesting. Yeah, I don't know if you know about PIP technology, polycontrast interference photography, but the thing is this: the energy that we feel in the nature, we can usually not see with the eyes. But fortunately, the scientists discovered the method how to do it. So usually, the waves are always vertical. Horizontal? Horizontal. So if, for example, this is the hill, it's go like this and then go down. But in case when the Tesla scalar wave is measured, they change and they go vertically up immediately. And this has happened also in Pyramid of Giza. This has happened in the Pyramidal Mountain of Earth. And you see when you reach the top, immediately goes up. And the same in the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun.
Like
same
something
thing.
redirected.
Yeah, redirected energy.
Towards up.
Immediately go up. And we will talk about Tesla scalar wave later a little bit more.
Yeah. In the case of Pyramid of Sun, it follows Sun. So it moves. They measure it moves.
Yeah.
So, and if pyramid, one of the purposes is being communication device.
Yeah.
And I can confirm that for my personal standing on the top of that Pyramid of Sun, on the top of the Pyramid of Earth, and that's something else. That's different energetic fields. Who you are up there, you are different. Everybody experiences different, and everybody is open to different things and looking for different things. For me, when I'm on places like that, I'm complete. Also here, this is called Vrelo, which in our language is source. This is also measured very, very potent energetical spot.
Yeah.
And the villagers would say in old days, if they work on fields a lot, and if they would have a pain, this is where they would go.
Yeah, it was not like this; it was just forest. Now it's touristic.
Yeah. They would go there
to sit.
And thank you so much. Balkans is something else, very different, very unique in so many ways. Part of the world. So what happens to me here, usually I connect to information. The lady says before about downloads and stuff. I think here somehow, because vibe is high or energetic field is high, I can really connect and have some insights. Is it for my life? Is it collective? What's going on in the world? This is the place.
Yeah.
To be.
Yeah. What happened to me, for example, just short story. I have very, very sensitive hands. So I work as a therapist for many, many years because I could feel with the touch what's going on in the body, or maybe if I touch the stone or tree, whatever, I always can feel what's going on. And when sitting on this place here, and I've been in many sacred places in my life. I've been in Stonehenge. I've been in many, many places. And I was just sitting. I usually just sit, open my palms and close my eyes. In 2 minutes, I was like full. It's incredible feeling. It was enough for me personally in 2 minutes. But what happened next was very interesting. Usually for me to feel energetic field, I need to touch somebody to see. But I was so much energized that when I was going toward the tree, one tree that I like also in this place is very, very near. We will go there too. It's beautiful, beautiful place. And I could feel the field of the tree for 2-3 meters before. So I was playing with my hands like a kid, never experienced this before. I always need to touch. Like, what's going on? I didn't need to try to feel it. And it was probably 3-4 hours and then disappeared. But it was really, really interesting. So like recharging stuff. You will see. It's really, really, really potent place. Really potent place.
So yeah, we stay in area 3 days. One day we climb up.
Whoever wanted.
Yes, it's 3 hours, 3.5 hours, a bit steep walk. But for me, what's happening there, it's mountain carries you. I'm not particularly fit. I'm not fit, but I'm not also, I'm not running up the hill every day. So, and it's really easy for me to get out there. Like it's mountain, the energy takes you. If you ask her to do so, obviously. And she just takes you up. Your feet, your legs sometimes still hurt, but it's somehow easy, and breathing and everything. You don't get tired. But for people that maybe a bit older, or there are 3 options on a day when we woke up. So another option is 1.5 hour uphill walk towards first plateau, which is just under pyramids, and some beautiful energetical spots there. So in there, usually we held some programs, some meditation, stuff like that, and wait for guys from up there to return down. The third option is, if you really can't walk up the hill or you don't feel like do so, there are
many things.
Many things. Somebody will stay with you underneath, and you will visit beautiful church. We don't have time to say everything, but maybe it's better that way, because some things let's keep them as surprise. So we stay around that pyramid 3
days.
It's really again and again magical, opening into magical trip.
True.
That's another
place here near where we visit.
Water is just again. It's also water source, the big big amount of water coming out of that cave, rock,
which is
unbelievable. It's next level. It's magical.
Level.
We get excited as kids. I haven't seen those pictures for months, and a couple of days ago we were checking if everything works, and just saw pictures again, and my heart just go.
Same.
All of memories and what we experienced here and people we met. Another thing, important. It's so good on those buses because it's all similar-minded people, and we can talk our topics without restriction, and that's so good. And people connected. We mostly meet, except on conferences and stuff like that, but we mostly meet online these days, or we just watch same videos and comment and yadidas. But this is living experience, and I think collectively more and more is important as internet, and surveillance and all of that kicking in. It's more and more important that we meet one-on-one,
and share
in real time and share
our thoughts and perspectives about things.
Yes.
It's always enriching.
So things happen. Their couples have been, people meet each other, friendships, lifetime friendships. So another Tara National Park. So Tara, my name is Tara too, and I was born in Balkans, but my parents are Bosnian, but I was born in the north part of former Yugoslavia, if you remember that. And I was never Tara when I was little. Tara is in Serbia, just when you cross the border from Bosnia, there is that stunning mountain. And once I watched, as little, I watched documentary about Mountain Tara, which is in this Tara National Park, and about River Tara, where we go later. And it was just, I fell in love for some reason, and I've always wanted to go there. And it turned out the mountain is really magical. There is a lots of mythology there. I think the veil in between worlds is really thin there. And one of the things here, there were two people. First, the mountain chain goes from Nikola Tesla place of birth, and it continues. The Naridi mountain chain, it continues. So I think those mountains play really important role also in Tesla work. And one of the things here on Tara, 150 years ago, there were two shepherds, uncle and his nephew. So uncle, he could not know how to write, okay? Something similar.
Not write, no read.
Not
Nothing,
read.
nothing.
Something similar we have here.
Yeah.
He was just simple shepherd. He would walk forests, those beautiful forests of Tara, really rich forests. This mountain is known for good forests, for oak, and I don't know in English the expression of the certain type of tree, but doesn't matter. So, and he would get those visions, and he would talk, and people would think, villagers, gone.
Yeah.
He would saying stuff about today.
Yeah,
he said everybody will have little mirror, and everybody will look into mirror, and they will talk to people from elsewhere, from another side of the world. He also talked about iron birds flying, and so much more. So the local priest, he heard him, and he thought might be a good thing to write down. So they write it down for times now, and some stuff that they are saying are really interesting. And then his nephew picked up, and he continued his work. And this is the place we will visit.
Yeah.
Where he lived and where he was born. It's very amazing. And another thing, I'm Carrie here. This is not because of the cross. This is because of the little rock. This.
Same.
Yeah. So
inside this.
Yeah. So when we get to Bosnia,
stone.
we will talk about
Spheres,
stone spheres. And the one was found here too. And I don't think this is coincidence. But what happened 2 years ago? Somebody burned down the cottage, the original cottage, and the sphere was in front. So the sphere was damaged. It broke half.
But you can still feel it, the energy.
Absolutely. And little pieces you can buy. So I'm carried with me because the stuff that happened there. And for some reason, because I was so lucky to see Stevens and Evans rock in very personal way, I touched some of them. And for some reason, when we were there, they were on my mind all the time. I was just excited to bring them there and wonder what they feel. I feel that's my personal opinion with my experience there. This rock, they also said it's not, maybe more about that, but there are some stuff that are not earthly elements. I think it's equivalent to what is it in Mecca. So area is very known for healers, is known for visionaries, it's known for
actually geniuses.
Yes.
For this type of small places, I think there are 50 or 60 very, very successful and important and people from that area.
Yes. Now this is official. After Second World War, some American airplane went about Yugoslavia to create maps, and when they came to Tara, they couldn't measure. They couldn't pick
Like
up the picture. They could not measure. They say it was kind of a mist.
Like a bubble.
Like, yes, they just could not see. This is official report.
Yeah.
This is not something apparently somewhere in old documents archives. Pilots confirming this, so I think it's true. So very, very special area.
Place. Yeah. And again, on the path, on the ley lines.
Yes, and beautiful water, beautiful lakes,
Nature.
views are next level. Is to meditate there is that's it. But
Just on the road, when we'll go, you will see it's fantastic.
the pictures that not make a justice here because
a little bit, but
it's turquoise. It's waters there are in nature. It's something else. There are places where earth open genuinely to beauty and everything. I think those are sacred places, and this is one of them. So
okay, let's go forward. Okay,
And
again,
then-
Tara. Tara everywhere.
and then we move to Montenegro, and this is Tara River Gorge. Tara, we do rafting here if you desire. So much fun. We had so much fun last year.
beautiful
It's
place.
just it's really relaxing. And our accommodation, this is where it's from. Those photos were made for our accommodation. Beautiful cottages just by the river. You wake up into pristine morning. Breakfast is served just above the river. We are right in a gorge. We change bus for little
Small bus.
for small buses or vans to
Because
get
the
us.
big bus cannot arrive
Yeah,
there.
of course. Yeah, it's really remote and
Remote.
beautiful and wild. So
Rafting.
just a place again to drink plenty, really healthy, structured water, to absorb nature, everything, to heal, to experience, to take it in.
True.
Beautiful hosts there, beautiful young family. Food is also
Right.
next level. They are very humorous people. We
Yeah,
laugh
very,
a lot
very.
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And from there we go to
Yeah, this is our stop
stop,
on
Trebinje.
beautiful little town and beautiful old bridge. There is big story around it, as we experienced last year. Also, really magical spots. Some synchronicities happen that you just can't, out of this
Explain.
world. But
We don't have time. So
yeah.
it's too many things. Okay.
Dubrovnik. You might heard of Dubrovnik. This is our next destination. Dubrovnik is where Games of Thrones were.
And Star Wars.
In Star Wars.
Yeah, two things.
Yes.
People usually know it, but we know it from different reasons.
So
Fortunately.
beautiful, most romantic old city. Beautiful vibe. In June it's very busy now. Obviously, lots of tourists. It's Croatia. So, but in June, it's still doable. And with little luck, we'll get the days that it's not too busy, and then we can really enjoy it. So, Also, there is an island. You can see it on the right side of the. It's called Lokrum. You can see just a little bit on the right side. And last year, I was there before, but never noticed it. So the island is nobody lives there. It's just old monastery, and the little corner to acknowledge Games of Thrones now. But there is a big botanical garden with Australian trees and plants. I could not believe I entered there. It's like, it's like mixture of those island is like mixture of Australia. They call eucalyptus and gum trees and all of that. It's big for me, like two hearts coming together, Mediterranean and Balkans, and Australia on one island. It was so telling. I can't even explain, but yeah. And then
I never hungry in the morning, but look at this. Wow.
Yeah, so as we know, Mediterranean diet is really healthy, so lots of plenty good food around. And there was stories going on, and it's true, Croatia is getting really, really expensive, but there are ways around it, even to stay in Dubrovnik, There are restaurants and there are restaurants, so yeah, it's...
Okay, another interesting stuff.
This is also a story for itself, worth of not just fan video, but those are old. There was a religion before Christianity in Bosnia, which is called Bogomili, which means they are similar to Catars. Again, long story, but Bogomili means those dear to God, or Mili also would mean grace. So for me, it was not religion, but it was ways of living. You see all those spirals on those monuments. There is heaps of them preserved in Bosnia, and we will stop on one of the sites and just
And these megalithic stones actually are much older than wanted to believe. You know, it's always like that when you go in to speak about a little bit with locals and certain people who did serious investigation. These are not tombs and stuff like they want to present us. You know, they are sacred place. You can feel it. You can feel it when you touch the stone. All these carvings has a meaning. So it's depict much older story that they want us to believe. So
yeah. All right.
Okay, now it's your topic.
There is a plant called Smil. By the way, the birthing place of Nikola Tesla is Smiljan, and this is Smil. So it's, if you research in English, it will come out by name Immortel. And our friend who produce really good quality of essential oil of this plant, he was contacted by big pharma company and told not to speak too much about it, because apparently there are 6 plants in the world that pharma don't want us to know about, and Immortel is one of them. You can do a little bit of research, but we go on our tour after Dubrovnik. We are traveling toward Mostar, which is already Bosnia and Herzegovina. So we stop on a beautiful plantation. People will explain how they produce this oil. I cannot say too much in Australia, because it's really restricted when you mention word healing, but you can find online stuff. It's done some amazing things for lots of people, even, take away some of the hardest conditions and illnesses. So,
yeah.
And apparently it's used a lot in cosmetics.
Yeah.
I was really desperate to find seeds in Australia, and I couldn't, but I found tea. So I bought it just a couple of days ago. I got it. Shipment happened. So I have 4 bags of Smil, and I will try to, reproduce it. I hope the seeds from flowers will work. It's most beautiful Mediterranean, together with lavender and all. Yeah.
And the interesting thing also, Tara, if you remember, we found it on certain sacred places, remember?
Yes.
Even in Croatia when we discovered.
Yes. Yes.
So again, some connection here again
Yeah.
with this energetic energy of ley lines.
Yes. So on when in Croatia or Mediterranean in general, when you go to sacred places, there is something else that happens with herbs and medicinal plants. They grow everywhere.
Like crazy.
But there is different. It's just different how they radiate, how they look, how they arrange themselves around. It's just different. And the previous talk, when they talk about communication with trees and animals, that makes me so happy, because I know all the existence, everything around us, it's opening now to communication and to symbiosis. People, we mostly tell stories about ourselves. It's all about us, on collective, on this, on that. It's us. We're so focused on us. But the environment that we live in,
it's alive. Communicate.
And inviting us again to, befriend the tree.
To communication, yeah.
If you don't find...
These places enhance that, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Rather than go to psychiatrist, spend $200 for session. Maybe sometimes it's good to sit under the tree and just to tell your sad story. Yep.
Yeah, another beautiful
Water again.
place. Yeah,
This is beautiful waterfalls. We have a swim. We have a lunch here.
it's fantastic.
Yeah,
A
people
lot
love
of
it.
negative ions.
A lot of negative ions. We'll touch on negative ions later on.
Yeah.
We did not. How much time we have? Sorry.
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, very little. We need
Yeah,
to rush.
but we've been
Yeah, but
late.
we
We've been late.
Yeah,
So
but still,
okay.
keep going. We need to come to the end. So this is really beautiful Sufi monastery. The energy again and happening, and the Buna Vrelo again, water coming out. The monastery is just about, as you can see,
Under
about
the rock.
water and the beautiful, amazing rock, and the energy the Sufis created there is just most beautiful. I love Sufis. That's one of the traditions that I love, and their presence and their stillness and their worldly. They're not just Sufis. They are dervishes. You know, dervishes that dance.
Mystics.
Yeah, the dancing
Dancing
mystics. This is their place, and you can sense their presence, and it's just
special place.
Sufism for me. It's really heartfelt lineage, and this place it's all about heart, and so is whole Bosnia. It's about Bosnia. It's about love. People are lovely, welcoming. Yeah, all right. And then Mostar.
My favorite place.
Beautiful river again coming through. Ottoman inspired architecture, amazing food. We spent a couple of days there. There is a nightclub in a cave, and it's decorated as 1001 Night, and it's very beautiful.
And the restaurant like this, it's
just by the water.
Amazing food.
Very beautiful.
Very beautiful.
You can smoke shisha here if you like that. The place we stay, they have huge restaurant, beautiful area, very relaxing by the river. You sit down, smoke shisha, friends.
and then we came.
And then we drive, and at some point we will say, look to the left side, and she will pop up. And a lot, the majority of people, there is a silence in the bus at that point because of how majestic and beautiful it is. So this is Pyramid of Sun. And then, as you might know by now, as Stephen and Ivan are becoming more and more friends and ambassadors of Bosnian pyramids, there's Pyramid of Dragon, of Love, of Moon, Temple of Mother Earth, and every single one, Dr. Sam, 20 years ago, he named them by intuition. And as it turned out, he nailed it with every single one. That's what my experience is. And as Stephen said before, they are working. They're still working. Actually, I think they are working more and more. They are activating for many reasons, maybe because time is right, but also because there is Sam's team, the workers of Foundation, the volunteers. They all create, I have goosebumps. They all, the 20 years, it's 20 years since discovery. In 20 years, among discoveries and measurings and everything, they created that stable, energetic field, very coherent. You can sense it when you step into. It's so thick that the field that produces all those synchronicities, all those healings, and all of that. Some people talk about, you might hear of New Earth idea. I don't know if that's appropriate branding, but something name word to play with around. So, or some people talk about we are entering 5D, different ideas. But I think in practicality, this is it. For they kind of what they're doing there, what they're creating there, they kind of creating the environment that we're going to live in the future more and more. We live it already. We live it here partially in South Australia. We're a beautiful place, 5 minutes from ocean in this big forest. It's high energy. And I sense that energy is somehow getting better in quality. And this is what's happening here. This is one of the birthing places of that new Earth.
This is also, the tunnels. We cannot forget to speak about tunnels, because it's not just about energy here. Negative ions usually are found in the nature. So they are measured for a cubic centimeter. So if you go to Perth, for example, that would be 50. You go to the village, it will be maybe 300, forest 500. You know, you go to the mountain, it's 1,000. And the biggest measure in the nature was 100,000 on Niagara Falls. But just last year, and we were just 2 weeks afterward in the tunnels, and we have this story was also amazing what we experienced that, and we didn't know it. They measured 340,000 negative ions, so 3 times more than on Niagara Falls. It doesn't make any sense. You go 240 meters inside the tunnel in the dark and wet. So it's something going on there, some energies at play that we maybe don't understand yet. It's all of this complex connected together, all these pyramids in Fibonacci and everything. And people experience, you know, healing. So now they cannot advertise it, of course, but
they do more and more.
They do more and more.
There
now
is
even with doctors and everything.
There is website now because Sam starts to write academia articles about it. So now is the website that's just for that, just for healing.
And they have
reports on the tunnels, what people experienced. Again, we don't have time. We could talk about that
all day.
And on. So
okay,
I think we are over time now.
Let's go.
So and then conference, obviously.
We have
So
we have gathering Pyramid of the Moon.
So obviously whole 7 days of our stay there is a conference going on. There's going to be some beautiful people, and we're also going to see those
stone spheres in
stone
Zavidovici.
spheres. This is something else. But one thing really important to now, we talked about places in itinerary, but what's really exciting for me is I will be able to sit with Stephen and Ivan and Leah in relaxing circumstances. It's 23 days tour. We have heaps of time to listening their beautiful stories. I just really enjoy to listen. Stephen, you can't. I'm not watching all videos because time and. But then every single time I get back, it's like a minute later, and I'm hooked in because it's just interesting. And the truth, it's really the truth they are speaking. It's really it's magnet for me. So I think it's going to be really beautiful to sit with them by the fire maybe and just listen to the stories by the water, by the rivers. Very exciting, and learn and being able to.
And all contributed actually, what we discovered. All involved, they bring something. Now we always learn something new on this type of tours all the time.
Yeah. It's kind of the tour, it's kind of co-creation. We try also, there is time, it's 23 days. So we try to, we believe every person that comes, it's there for a reason and carry its little piece of puzzle of knowledge.
Point of view.
Yes, point of view, and I try to really be observative as much as I can, as I have technical stuff to, I need to sort out your place where you sleep and all of that. And your food and yada, and there is, sometimes it's a lot, but when it's like mandala coming together again and again. So if you feel the call, more than welcome to send me an email or call me. Yes, there's underneath or check on our website. Price, I think it's really, we managed to work really affordable considering, the length of the trip and the quality of accommodation and the quality of program and conference and all of that. I think, comparing similar tours in Egypt or this and that, I think
3 times.
Yes, we're not doing this to get rich. So
try to involve more and more people, bring to these sacred places, and
yes. So if you feel a call, you're more than welcome to get more information and maybe see you there. So we are over time. We could talk.
For hours.
5 hours. Thank you so much.
We barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Look, I'm sure we'll have you back on as we get closer as well, because you've got such a wealth of information there. It's just touching the surface, But I will grab these two. Thank you so much for today. And,
Yeah, we will get you back in a couple of months from now, Evan, not two.
Yep.
So people have got time to factor that in.
Yep.
We'll make sure of it because, from our point of view, everyone should go with it.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, when Dr. we'd probably gone anyway. If he hadn't asked us to talk there, we might have paid our way to listen to someone else talking, but it turned out better that way.
It did.
So, yeah, look, by all means, let's do it again when we get closer.
Definitely.
And we're so looking forward to this. I am.
Very
Anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Before we leave, I would just tell you a little story. We live in communities. Our neighbor house bring in beautiful artists who do certain type of tiling, kitchen tiling, and she does all by hand. And the other day we just met each other and we are telling her story about Pleiades and this and that. And in the evening she goes to bed and her curtain is like this, open wide, and what she sees through that gap straight to Pleiades. That was all we talked about.
That's a sign.
Pleiades coming for me
all the time.
I'm not that much of aliens, and that's not my big passion till up to now. But this has come to the point where I can't deny. There are stars, there are something out there to inspire us and help us, and so on. So thank you so much to be a big part of my connection to that.
It's a pleasure.
Definitely.
And we'll talk to you soon, and we'll do another one of these when we get closer, and then further on than that, we'll get in a plane, we'll fly over there, and then we'll get in a bus.
And we hope to see somebody listening and watching today with us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
No worries. Okay, we're going to put Leah and myself on now. Here we go. Right.
No,
Jesus.
it was like muscle right into that screen.
One of us hasn't had a shave.
It was me.
No. Well, I've got a reason for that. I just got something cut out of my head and I can't shave there at the moment. Anyway, let's do. We haven't done this for a while, have we?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Last time we missed out because we had something else going on and we didn't have time to do it. What's happened here is that, God, I don't know how many of these we've done, 35, 40 maybe?
Of the Q&As?
Yeah.
39.
39.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, no, 37.
Okay, all right. I just got to point out to people, this is 38, and sometimes it does get hard to think of new things to talk about. And I did come up with one, and I wrote this probably about 5 months ago, and I didn't check it. Leah's smiling because we did have a conversation with Mesref about this topic probably 3.5 months ago, maybe 4 months ago.
Yeah, something like that.
After I'd written this.
During winter.
Yeah, and if I had checked some of the questions near the back, I may not have put them in, but they're in there anyway now. So I'm going to be interested how this turns out because I was just talking to Leah about this a second ago. I've got a friend of mine, a very close friend, who keeps telling me that Mesref isn't real in that respect, and what he's doing is basically reading my mind and asking me and asking questions and saying things that I want to hear and I gel with. And I've got to tell you one thing. That is the one thing Mesref never does. From my experience in this, Mesref has never actually read my mind. I mean, he can do that for any information from me, and any question I've asked, I think you could count on one hand the number of times I got the answer I expected. And you could count on both my hands, both my feet, multiply that by 50, the number of times I got answers I didn't expect.
And didn't want to hear.
And didn't want to hear.
Yeah, more importantly.
And I think I'm saying this because I think some of these are going to turn out the same way.
Yeah, they will.
I knew that.
He's going to lose again, guys.
Yeah. Well, anyway, here we go. And we've got 14 questions here. And if I had a bit more foresight, I would have put a line through 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. But they're here anyway. So I'm going to start with some easy ones, and we'll make our way through it. Now, it is based around questions relating to the soul. And there may be some people who don't believe in a soul, which is fine by me. I don't pass judgment on anyone. I do. So does Leah, and so does Evan. And we're going to start with one that is a fairly common observation I've heard hundreds of times. And I just wonder if there's anything to it. And I think the answer on this one, I'm going to make a prediction, is no. So we'll find out. Here we go. I'm going for a no on this. It goes like this. As we die, it is claimed our weight is reduced by 140 odd grams. Well, it's not claimed. I think that's actually a fact. But I'm saying this, and I'm not sure. In fact, I don't think this is the answer. Is that the moment the soul departs the body? Over to you, Leo.
Through the eyes of a fish, a finger pressed into the water appears to be a worm. It cannot fathom that the finger belongs to a greater being that exists beyond its comprehensible realm. The soul doesn't exist within the body.
Oh,
It's a finger pressed into this reality from a much greater force.
I got it right. I feel like stopping now. I've finally got
Hey,
one
just
out
stop
of
there.
one.
It's okay.
Shane's right.
Yeah.
I had that
Damn
thought.
it.
I thought the soul was not actually. It's. I think it resides around us, with us, but I don't believe it's attached to the body. But it works with the body. But I don't think there's a spot inside here where it's residing, like where the heart and the kidney and the liver does. Okay, so okay, I'm off to a very good start here, but I know I'm not going to finish this well. All right, no, next one. Okay, clearly the answer is not flesh, but this is an interesting question, I thought. But what is the soul made of?
Its presence can be measured through electromagnetism.
Okay, so
But he didn't say it's electromagnetic. It's just
no,
like
he said you can measure it.
Yeah.
So what it's made of, I didn't get that. I just know how to find it or protect it. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what it's made of, to be honest. Okay. Oh, this next one. Okay. Yeah. Our bodies have use-by dates, which can vary from 1 day to 120 years, each earthly incarnation. I suspect there was a time in the past when it was longer, but that's not important here. Then I asked this question. I think I know this one too, so I'm off to a good start here. Okay, we know the body is that old. How old is the soul?
The same age as space.
That's what I thought. I've got to it. I'm just going to write some ticks here. This is the best I've done.
And
Yes, Shane, at the moment, mate, it looks like you're right because I got these two right. Okay, don't worry. It's going to change. I asked earlier, this one. Yes, I did ask about this, and I wanted to follow it up. This one threw me. I asked earlier about the soul's passage after death, and I gave 3 options: extinction, 1 mortal life, then a residence in heaven or hell, or to reincarnate. Now, my assumption was I was going to get an answer. I didn't. So I want to come back to it. Your answer included all 3, which caught me unawares. Could you elaborate? Because it sort of, I get what he's saying, but if I'd like a little bit more information here, I hope it's not going to be one word.
You already understand.
Oh, I knew it was going to be something like that. Oh, God. Well, I sort of knew it, but I was dreading it. I thought he could elaborate and tell me a bit
Well,
more.
no, he said you already understand. You have to elaborate on the answer. You already understand the answer. You have to explain to the good people in this audience what he means by that, Steve. You need to be the teacher now.
Oh, Jesus. Well, my assumption was, because I'm a great believer in reincarnation, and I have been since I was about 5, and I remember questioning an adult at the time when they told me about heaven, how after I have this life, I go to heaven. And I said to them, it's not fair. And this person who was a Christian was quite put off, and me being 5 was a bit shocked. And I said, well, what do you mean it's not fair? This is what God chose. And I said, no, it didn't. Because some of these people are born into a horrible existence. They may have both their parents who are breaking the law all the time and bashing each other and bashing them. And they may have a childhood that's appalling. When someone else is born with a silver spoon and everything's given to them, nothing goes wrong. And yet the other person is judged the same as them. And I said, it's not fair. And I thought, from my thinking, reincarnation was the only way it was fair. Now, Mesrev says it can be extinction. It can be you can stay there or you can come back. And I think the reason is because the one thing each soul is given is free will. And free will means you get the right to choose. And when you think about that a bit, that would explain why there are ghosts here. Because they didn't even make the trip to determine whether they want to become extinction or whether they want to stay in heaven or whether they want to reincarnate. They're not even into that process, are they? Because they chose to stay. So the answer is it's whatever you want. You get the final choice. It's a bit like The Good Life, the TV show where they had the same issue. And some people decided to merge into the collective unconscious because they got bored. So, okay, we didn't get an elaboration. I had to, so that's a cross. Okay. Oh, yeah, this one. I hear this a lot. And particularly my wife is watching repeats of that show called Friends. And there's a guy there called Joey that Phoebe always refers to as being
a new soul.
Yeah, that's the one I want to talk about. This business about people saying, oh, well, this person is young because they're a young soul. They haven't had many lives and they're still not experienced. And I hear that comment. I heard it again a couple of days ago about Joey being a young soul. Often I hear people claiming, well, I just said that some people have a newly created young soul. Clearly that is incorrect. Could you supply a more accurate description of, we'll just take Joey, for example, in the show.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
That only means that they need to connect to other lives to gain perspective and to remember that they are part of the water we share. There is nothing new here.
Because Mesref has made it clear the souls were created way back.
Yeah, fragments. Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously different big bangs and they live different lifestyles, and now it's changed again with the last one, the seventh big bang. We've got a different setup now, and now we've got material world.
Oh no, that was before. What do you mean by the big? What do you mean by big bang?
Well, I thought the Big Bang was one of the different types of things that have happened here.
Oh yes, that's right. But
Yeah.
I mean, but it wasn't like, so or the souls or fragments, whatever you want to call them, they were there long.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
Oh, that's what you mean. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes, apologies.
It was
Yes.
before that.
Yes.
See,
yes,
we
yes.
have the assumption that life began
Yes.
existence, the soul began after the bang.
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's not correct. It's before that. We were existing in a different framework. And then they've given us a new framework with new players and new scenes. And like Shakespeare said, the whole world is basically a play, and we've all got parts to play. And we got new roles.
Yeah.
And new lines. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What other life forms on this planet have souls? And the reason I put the next part of this in, because I think I know the answer to this one too. Does this answer extend past animals?
All.
Oh, one word.
Yeah, there you go. You were asking for some one words. There you go.
All.
All.
So we've got the animals in there, okay, and they've all got a life force within them. But now if we go further, then if we go to all, I'm looking at trees out there, and I'm looking at rocks out there, and I'm looking at the earth out there. Are we saying that they have a life force themselves as well? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Which then, of course, if we think about that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us back to a very indigenous way of looking at life. Because the original people, the American Indian people, even a lot of pagan groups had a belief that it wasn't just souls of humans, but they would talk about the souls of animals, and they would talk about the souls of the earth and the souls of the trees. So those groups and those spiritual practices were correct, weren't they? Yeah. But the ones who tell us that only humans have souls are incorrect.
Well, it's not just incorrect. That's the problem. It's the permission to take advantage, or to abuse the system. Right. It's kind of like saying I have divine right to conquer this island. You
It
know,
is
like New
divine
Zealand.
right, yes. And they'll go to the Bible and say we're the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And everything is below us.
Yeah.
And as soon as you say that, you are actually on the bottom of the pyramid once you say out of those words. Okay, I'm not having a go at this guy, but that inspired a question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Alfred Lewembre, we've been on his show quite a few times. I'm not having a go at him at all. Okay, he did put up a post where he wanted to be accorded the right to be the representative from Earth on the Galactic Council. Okay, now there is a council of sort of, but
There's a collection.
probably
of
not
people.
quite the right name, but
it doesn't matter.
he proposed, and this is where it gets interesting, he proposed that cetaceans, which are whales and dolphins, be accorded equal footing to that of all humans. I've got my take on that, but I'm not going to say it yet. What is your response to this belief that cetaceans deserve an equal status?
We enjoy our conversations with them.
I didn't expect that. Probably more than the conversations they have with us.
Well, the fact that he emphasized we enjoy our conversations
yeah, I know
with
what it
them,
meant. Yeah.
it's implying that he doesn't so much as enjoy conversations with us.
Even with us.
Yeah, you got to understand, everyone, that he's very passive aggressive towards us, which is fine. We'll learn to accept it.
I triple part of that. I think he's not even passive aggressive.
He's flat out aggressive.
Just aggressive.
He's just aggressive.
There's very little passive there.
no passive.
Now we
aggressively passive.
Now we get to the scary one. If I checked this again, I probably would have started putting lines through this, and I certainly would have put through the next one, but it's there. I got a lot of time for Carl Jung. Not so much for Sigmund Freud, but like you pointed out recently, I think you're right. Sigmund Freud was very instrumental in Carl Jung taking the opposite viewpoint.
Yeah.
And I think that was important. So we won't criticize him too much for that. But there is something he said that I can't believe is here, and I would have taken it out if I'd known. Carl Jung often spoke of one destination for the soul, which he referred to as the collective unconsciousness. I'm dreading this one. Was he right? And if so, could you describe it?
Unlike the ocean, the deeper you travel, the brighter it becomes. You have seen the fringes in dreams. It's beyond the doors and curtains and bridges. You know that if you ever cross that line, but you know that if you ever cross that line, you may choose to stay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's quite, how can I put it? It's very diplomatic. There are things he's not saying there, and I fully agree with the fact that he hasn't. So what he is telling you is that it is a place you can stay at, and a lot of people do choose to do so. We haven't gone into details about that. And that is what I call a very politically, not political, that's not the right word, respectful comment for the people that are here. So, okay, I'm happy. I didn't expect that response, so I put a cross next to it, but I'm quite happy we got that one. I hope you can continue because I've got a few more like this. Okay, these questions come from Dell, who is my wife, and she wanted to put this in. And she's got a lot of time for Dolores Cannon and Edgar Casey. And they say, this is the question, do you make a soul agreement about your next life while on the other side in order to learn certain things that benefit the soul's development?
Okay. A reason that has been abused many times. What has been chosen for you has been the you have refused to acknowledge unless forced to do so.
Yeah. In other words, yeah, you do make a contract, but you don't sign on the dotted line.
Well, it's kind of like, this is where it gets really hairy because there are some cultures who think that your current circumstances in life are deserved due to your place of birth, your rank, your caste, whatever you wish, and therefore you are considered less than, you are not, considered, you are not worthy of respect or be treated as a human being, whereas they put themselves above, you, and they can take advantage of your lower level. And so Bezos is basically inferring that there is some truth to it in the intrinsic sense, but that is not, we can't, the problem is humans have an innate ability to try and take advantage of each other and to give permissions to abuse others of our own kind. We're very good at that. And it's just in our nature, really. Let's think about it. It's, you know.
It's more than in our nature. Somebody once said, I was watching a show my wife watches called Poldark, and he was talking about the fact that he'd been involved in a war. And he said, how did you react? He said, we were taught to hate the person that we're fighting. We're taught to marginalize them and make them less than human and undeserving of life.
Yeah.
And
that's,
then that
permission.
justified that. And here's the drawback with this. That's what they do in wars. Do you know how many people, Australians, died in the Vietnam War?
I remember you said
40.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people from the Vietnam War, since they came back and survived the war, have killed themselves?
A few hundred, I think you said.
1,841.
Right.
So that means 40 people died on the battlefield and 1,800 died in a different battlefield up in here. And that battlefield is a much, I know I said at the time, for the two groups, I would have preferred to have been the 40 that died on the battlefield.
I think, it was a man. Yeah, there was someone.
And then you've got the returned vets who then go through this thing every night. There's that great song, because there was recently on TV, they did a show. I think Rachel Griffiths did a show about two songs. K-Sand by Cole Chisel, which is about a returned vet. And Red Gum did one, he was only 19. And it was quite fascinating. And what it was about is basically for both those people, their battle never continues. It continues forever. And they saw, and like I remember talking to a vet once about that, and he said, what was the most scary part of the war there? He said, the uniforms. I said, what do you mean?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
They didn't wear any. So I didn't know, when I walked out through that door there, I didn't know who my enemy was.
Yeah, they could have been anybody.
So that means you're in a constant state of terror.
Yeah.
And so, it turns out that we all go through different parts. Okay, next one. Right, okay, so there is an agreement. My wife's next question is, so what happens if you don't fulfill this soul's agreement? Well, I don't know that many do.
He says it's what happens if you don't fulfill the soul agreement? Then somebody else will. Someone else will just do it, because it's not about you. It's not about you at all. You're not the chosen one. Nobody is the chosen one. It's about if you don't want to do it, or if you can't do it, all right, somebody else will.
So there are people in line to do.
Brian.
Life of Brian. Okay, I take that back.
Yeah,
He's the chosen one. Never mind.
He was the chosen. No, his mother said he was just a naughty boy.
He's a naughty boy.
He's a naughty boy. He's not the chosen
Speaking
one.
of naughty boys, interrupting our stream.
Thank you, Evan, for that. We're getting into something deep and meaningful here.
Yeah, we're trying. Very trying.
What did Python have to do with this?
Everything. It's to do with everything.
Look, the answer to that's real simple. If you don't fulfill the soul agreement, well, you didn't fulfill it. But you know what? I think you're going to find the majority of people who come here, they don't fulfill all they've got to do. They've got to come back again. Or if they don't want to come back, they don't have to.
Somebody else will do it.
Yeah, someone else will do it.
Then you don't. But here's the thing: if somebody else does, you don't get the glory.
No, you don't. No. And then you've got to deal with the fact you missed out.
Look how many crosses you have.
Well, I started off really well up here. Right. This one relates to an extent to you.
Oh, damn it.
Are we meant to forget our past life when in our present incarnation? Why is it a sprinkling of individuals remember snippets? You'll remember a lot more than that of previous lives. So number one, are we meant to come here and not know the past? But conversely, if that is the case, why do people have deja vu and they remember different parts? It seems like there's two different things going on at the same time. I wanted to reconcile that.
Sure. Because they don't look at themselves through the eyes of the life they had incarnated into. They know they live in the water with everybody else. They share each other's essences and integrate them into their own. It's not a memory as it is a brain recalling an event it had experienced firsthand. It's a sea of memories from lives that have existed before, during, and after you. Before, during, and after you that they borrow. It's not theirs in the purest sense. Like their memories they create in their here now will one day be given back to the water.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
there.
sorry, I fumbled that one a little bit.
No, you didn't. What you're saying is that when we have past memories, it could be past memories of our life.
Yeah, but it could also be of others as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't go into a lot of detail on that one because we know that in more detail, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not all great
Good.
news in
It's
that
not
one.
great news.
But he is hinting at it. Yes, you can remember, but you've got to remember something that you've probably been told every time, that everyone on this planet, and I know that I have a lot of issues with that because I've run into a few of them, you're related to all of them. Even the idiots, even the ones you think are just raving,
Rubbish.
why are you here? Why have you incarnated? Why have you got, they're still our brothers, our sisters, and we're related to all of them.
And that's, sorry, if I may add as well, like that notion where, you know, how a lot of people talk about how there's, you know, we're related to the all, and like, you know, it's like rule of oneness and all that. I don't think any of us fully understand what that actually means until we're fronted with that. Like that was probably the most alarming thing that I ever came across when fronted with that information, because it's like, that means is that the memories I've had, talking about my past life memories for a moment, I thought, or the way I had recalled those lives before were memories that I had, you know, my soul had experienced in those times. That it's like a string of events, like passing from one to another, like passing from incarnation to another. It's not that simple, because the people I remember, their memories swim up there in this great sea of consciousness, or whatever Mesrith describes it as, and I just happened to pick up a lot on those memories because I'm most alike them, I'm most similar to them. They're not necessarily my own past lives. There are no past lives in the traditional sense, according to Mesrith, but there is at least some level of ability to access those memories of those who have deceased.
Well, yes, and there's more to it than that,
but we'll just leave it at that for now. So
it is possible that you could have memories of things in your head there that you feel must have been something you've done in a past life, and it was done in a past life. It was done with someone.
It happened.
You're familiar with, but it wasn't so much you.
It wasn't.
We are linked up.
Yes,
we are all linked up. That's
the thing. That's what he talks about. And if I may add as another example, I remember I had a dream, but it was one of those nights where it was like a dream, but not really, where I linked up to a woman who had virtually nothing in her life. I remember walking the streets at night, crying. I'm physically distressed. I had no family. They all got rid of me. I had no friends that were actually friends. They were just leading me down a dark path into this dark life. There was basically, like, I had no prospects of the future, no career, no nothing. Like, it was just the only positive really at that point in time was actually still being technically alive. And I remember thinking, like, this was a horrible existence. I remember thinking, like, my entire life has been ruined. Yeah. And I thought for a moment, I thought that I connected with an alternate version of myself, because that's how it felt like. It felt like I connected to an alternate reality or something like that, another version of Leah. But it wasn't. I connected to somebody, and through their perspective, through their memories, through their experience, I was momentarily was living in the body of somebody who is currently experiencing this out there right now.
So you actually locked into someone else's.
We just swapped.
Story swap.
We just swapped for like half a second. It just swapped, and Because we're connected. That's the thing. The tragedy is we're connected. Even the people that we hate, we are still related.
We're connected to everyone.
Yeah.
And there's 3 to go here.
Even to
I'm
us,
worried
guys.
about one of them.
You're connected to us.
Yeah.
It's not always a good thing, trust me.
Okay. Do some souls form strong soul-to-soul connections because of our soul contracts over several lifetimes? So what I'm saying there is a lot of people would believe or would hope to believe that the people that are in their life this time were in their life in previous lifetimes, and there's a sort of an ongoing semi-tribal sort of arrangement in where souls turn up. This is what I'm concerned about.
If you have a sense of self, you will likely form a bond with someone who shares your traits, but it doesn't mean that you are solely connected to one another. You are all connected.
Right, okay. I'll go with that. I'm not going to say much for that one.
Yeah, it's vague.
I'm going to leave that. Okay,
Nice,
next one.
Healthy and vague.
Yeah. A bit concerned about these bottom ones because there's a little bit that's been left out for a particular reason, which I agree with. Casey claimed the purpose of the soul's journey is to achieve a state of complete spiritual awareness, to become one with the creation force. This is a very simple question. I don't think I know the answer to this one. Is he right?
If you do, then you will never die or live again. We made that mistake, but that's for you to choose.
Right.
So if you get to a certain point, you get, once you
transcend the process.
You can't die, but then you can't live. And apparently Mesrith is like, that was an oopsie daisy.
And so basically what he's saying is that's what they're going through now.
They were going through that,
because Mesrith's group, the race, the Nevosaurus are extinct.
They're technically extinct.
Technically extinct. They can't make babies.
No. There's no, they can't increase or decrease their numbers. They're static. It's finished. Yeah.
And most people would think,
eternal. It's not.
Eternal life. Yeah. It's like
you don't have. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's in the fun thing is when people because when you have these entities, right, who don't have a body. I've had a few people who come and ask about or talk about his love, and these beings have such great love and all this sort of stuff. The thing is, Mesrith people don't have love. They can't love. They don't have an amygdala. They don't have a body. They don't have a brain. They don't feel anger. They don't feel hatred. They don't feel love. They don't feel sadness. There's none of that. They have cognitive love. They have cognitive emotions. Not love, sorry, but cognitive emotions. They've got melancholy, ambivalence, difficult, more intrinsic emotions. But yeah, they can't grieve. There's nothing to grieve because there's no brain. He's brainless. Mesrith is brainless.
Well, in
technically
that respect,
speaking.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so that's true, but conversely, he's also
very intelligent, but also lacking, like a jellyfish.
Yeah, well, we're not going to talk about the Zarnish. Okay, right. All right, well. Yeah, okay. Well, that answers the last question. The one that Del asked is spiritual oneness or rarity?
Okay, so what happened here was I put an asterisk. Mesrith didn't understand the question, so I had to reframe it, and I assume this is something that she probably meant. Does this spiritual oneness exist on other worlds, planes, and realms? And he said, obviously not. Yeah.
Okay, because that's the final. What we're talking about now is the reason that the Big Bang came to existence, so that people could go through this process and find, or beings, shouldn't say people because then that gets confusing, go through this process and finally get there. But it was never meant to be easy.
No.
It was meant to be incredibly hard. And there were all sorts of things put in the way. Clearly some we know about quite well, to make sure that this was going to be a very difficult process for everybody. So having spiritual oneness, which is a form of perfection, perfection's really impossible.
But it's also a form of zero.
Yeah.
It's a null. It's nothing at the same time.
It's got two things at the same time, and they sound to be contradictory, but they're not.
They're not.
They're not. They're just different forms of the same thing, and that's what this one was about.
Yeah.
But to get it would be a rarity because there are so many distractions and so many complications.
It's actually interesting that we're talking about, if we were to equate it to numbers, who loves mathematics in this group? Because I like maths. You don't like maths?
Oh, God, no. No, I don't
So,
like this.
but if we were to kind of create like a comparison, I mean, you've got minus 1, 0, and 1. So this would probably be technically more towards like pure 1, like a full 1, whereas instead of like a, does that make sense?
It does, because it's a pure one, but the one purity is so difficult, particularly on planets where there's chaos and strife that reigns. And Mesrith made the point more than once. This was a planet of many planets, one of the ones with the most strife involved at the moment, which means people living in an environment that is full of strife, discord, concern.
And it's the most fun.
Yeah, and also you can develop your soul the furthest in that life because of the fact you overcome these problems, and that is the base of it. And for the Neversaurus, they finally got to that stage and realised the reward was, I'm getting up again in the morning. Oh, another morning,
and another.
And it'll continue forever.
Yeah.
And Mesrith has made it clear more than once. He envies the fact.
He said, we look upon you with pride and envy. Yeah. Enjoy it while it lasts, kids. That's what he said.
And ladies and gentlemen, we got through the last questions safer than I thought, which was good.
Still a lot of crosses there, Steve. You gotta keep
up. These were the ones I should have never put in. I only did the cross ticks at the start with really simple things like is what's the 140 grams and young souls, and I already knew those answers.
Yeah.
We learned them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our session today. And for those of you,
I was told by a medium that you belong to a soul group. Everyone experiences share pretend like it's a place inside bucket. You will share those experiences of others and your own. You will progress when you learn and move up to the next stage. I mean, Mesrith has never alluded to like a hierarchy per se. He's never talked about a hierarchy.
No.
I mean, there is some kind of there's a loose equivalent, but he's never told me about. I mean, the way I understand it to be, it's more of familiarity, not necessarily family or necessarily friends. It's just like a familiarity, like you have like because there's a lot of life forms that have similar traits and characteristics and personality and what have you. So therefore, it's going to be easier, and also physicality too. So it's easier to sort of connect with them while they're currently living. But when they go or when they pass out of that, it's becomes far more loosey goosey.
Yeah,
as the scientists
it's sort
would
of
say.
right. It's sort of right. We belong to a group.
We do.
But it's a big
for
group.
sure, a big one.
Yeah. So look, your medium was in the right area.
Yeah.
And we might quibble over the minor.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter
as long as the general information is right.
That's it. That's all that matters.
All right.
We know what we're talking about. Yeah.
Right. So went a bit longer today than I expected.
That's good. It's good.
4-1.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go make some lunch upstairs, and we'll thank you guys for being part of this again.
I'll play some little ads at the end.
Okay, Evan's going to do all the things.
The promo
as
well.
I'll let you do that, Evan.
All right.
And I'll go up and start some lunch for Bill. Okay, until next time, ladies and gentlemen.
I love how he promptly just exited.
He's gone. All right, let's we might play this little video again. So yeah, what have we got here? Yeah, so as you know, we've got our tour coming up, and there's the little posters that go with it. Yeah, so if you decide to maybe come from overseas, we suggest you pick option C. So you can, there's the email address there. And then use the strong as the promo code. Okay, so yeah, and then you heard Tara and Manu talk about the tour of the Balkans. So we've got that coming up. And then, yeah, I've flashed up a few of those details before. And of course, our books are available. Yeah, so in Australia, just go to our website, but international, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, those kind of normal places. And of course, yeah, you can go to, this is the book we've done with the Rem and Jerry. So yeah, you can go to their website there, and it's also available for international customers in Barnes & Noble. And if anyone hasn't already got their hands on this bad boy, it's definitely a good one. And that's available everywhere. And of course, all of our other books are available there. Plus, also, you can grab our previous conferences. They're all very, they're only a couple of dollars each. So if there are particular ones you want to see, you'll see the little posters there with our guest speakers and whatnot. So yeah, little micro transactions. So, not too much money if you want to catch some of the past ones. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, working on, as I mentioned, working on a few different books. The Cradle to the Grave one will end up probably going with that online course as well, because it's subtotal of so much. And yeah, we'll work on a new Slater book, and Steve's almost finished and about to hand over a new book, and that will involve a bit more about that Chinese stamp that we talked about earlier today. And then I'm going to start another one with Dr. Charles Coz, Everyone Before Cook. So it's all the visitors that came to Australia before, trying to put them all together. And looking for some links. A lot of these visitors were actually guests, and there were friendly relationships and whatnot that I think perhaps people haven't seen before. So yeah, there's a few things on the go there. Very busy. So hopefully I'll finish this one soon, very soon. It's been 4 or 5 years. Yeah, and a couple of my pictures are put together. You saw that earlier one, the middle one here, which is about Wirrigin. And yeah, a couple of pictures from the book there, just as a taster. And yeah, you saw the trailer to that one. And yeah, so look, we will obviously have a little break, as you all will, over Christmas and New Year's, and then we'll be back next year with new topics, new guests and everything. So yeah, stay tuned for all of that, and have a Merry Christmas and all of those wonderful things. And we'll see you all very soon. Thank you for tuning in today. Okay then. Bye everyone.